Hello and welcome to the Central Lyon George Little Rock Football Podcast, brought to you by the CLGLR Quarterback Club. We're recording live from the Rock River Brewery in downtown Rock Rapids. Now, here are your hosts, former CLGLR head coach Toby Lorenzen, current offensive line coach Dwayne Postma, and current CLGLR head coach Curtis Eben.
Vanderzie's going to keep it right side. He's got a first down and more. Down the sidelines he goes. Reese is on the loose, and Reese Vanderzee will score for the Central Lyon George Little Rock Lions.
Welcome to this. This is the second episode of the season 4 of the CLGLR podcast. I'm your host, Curtis Eben, along with Dwayne
Coach,
Postma.
that's CLGLR football podcast.
Gotcha.
Okay.
All right. Got that cleared out of the way to start the night. So,
Sorry.
Again, I'm your host, Curtis Eben, along with Dwayne Postma, Toby Lorenzen. This week, our special guests from the 1994 football team, Paul Denikis, Ray Johnson, Scott Postma, and Monty Post. We start off with a little trivia to begin with. What notable rule change was repealed in 1994 after 1 year in existence?
And a hint, it has nothing to do with CLGLR football.
This one does not.
I don't understand questions like that, so I'm out.
Just because it's an interesting, it's a very interesting rule.
Has to do with passing then, if it has nothing to do with Central Lyon George.
Right.
We changed that this last couple of years.
Especially up until 1994.
Right.
That's for sure.
Exactly.
I don't know.
I have no idea.
Yeah, it is way out there. I'll give it. This is a Jeff Cruz
Yeah, geeky thing.
look
Yeah.
it up type of thing that nobody would know.
That's all right.
So this rule came in that after a score with 4 minutes or less left in each half, the receiving team had the option to either receive a regular kickoff or take the ball on the 35-yard line, which ultimately eliminated the onside kick.
I had no idea that
1
ever
year.
Really?
Me neither.
happened.
That's pretty crazy.
That sounds like an XFL rule or something, right?
So it's one of those
That's interesting.
one-time
I
experimental
can see why it never
season.
lasted.
Yeah, exactly. One time and then took off. So again, I'm sure Coach Cruz found that in the newspaper articles as he looked them up, as typical. So
Was it ever utilized that year, Jeff? You never found that?
I don't think that we saw it in any of the games that we watched.
It was a rule in 93.
Oh.
Oh, okay. So the rule happened in 93, but got repealed in 94.
Okay.
Most of our rules trivia questions we get are the rules they changed because of something that happened with Central Lyon
Right.
George Little Rock football.
Yeah,
And
that
there's
is
been
true.
a few of them.
There's been quite a few of them. I would agree. Talk a little bit about our Mount Rushmores. We're getting down there for our Mount Rushmore. One thing we talked about in our office this week, Coach Jaeger and I, is we might have to start redoing the Mount Rushmores after the last couple seasons of the football that we had, and it'd be interesting to see if we add or take away some of the guys that are on that list for Mount Rushmore. But Coach Jaeger is really pushing me to start a 16-man bracket of the top CLGLR football players and have a round robin between all of us to figure out who the best is.
All positions or each position?
All positions.
Oh, that's not. Oh, that'll be an argument. That won't be.
I brought that up to my brother. So Jaeger, just to give an example, Coach Jaeger did an example for us, and it ended up my brother and I were against each other first round. So last night my brother and I ended up not talking to each other when we went home. So.
Yeah.
But I think I moved on. He said.
The first thing we'll have to establish is the importance of linemen versus little guys. That's the first thing.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Right, Ray. Darn right.
Glory boys. I don't know.
Right, Paul.
I don't know if Scott knows the rule, Curtis, but anytime there's a vote, my vote's always for you, so Scott's screwed.
Toby's got this round. That's all.
That's right.
Now that'd be interesting. That's for sure.
So our move on to our Mount Rushmore this year is offensive tackles, a position that again we've had some extremely good players throughout the years. Typically, we've done offensive guards. It's kind of tricky because a lot of times we'll have tackles, especially as juniors, that move to guard as seniors and vice versa. We've had guys that go from guard to center. I mean, so we do move positions with these guys. So it's a little tougher when you want to select just 4 of them. But I'll let Coach Postman start because he's He's the wise owl.
Yeah, the retired one, remember?
You still call them hoggers?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Oh yeah.
Good.
Yeah, because that's what they are.
Right. That was big time when we were
Yeah.
hoggers.
It's kind of interesting how times change a little bit. Used to you'd put your biggest, brawniest type of guys out at tackle, and the smaller guys, prototypically anyway, you put them at guard. But that the way I see it, if I get my way, and usually I do, but now we put the brawny guys at guard because they're almost always going to have a guy pretty much directly over them. And with this outside zone stuff, these tackles got to be able to move. They got to be pretty athletic. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of interesting how that has flip-flopped over the years. And we go back to teams like this, you'll see that a little bit when you look through some of these rosters. It's kind of interesting where I noticed that in this team in particular, and other ones in that time period where we got guys playing tackle that there's no way they would play tackle today. They just couldn't, based on what we do. But this is always a tough one, especially for me with linemen, offensive linemen especially. I don't particularly like to do it for that reason, but we've had a lot of, and I say this about all of our positions, but we've had an incredible number of offensive tackles that were, if you put them in the poor, average, good, great, awesome category, boy, we've had dozens of them in at least the good category. At least it's amazing. So it's a tough one, but I'll start off in no particular order of how good they were or nothing. Nobody said we have to place them. That helps a little bit. But the first one I'll say will be Brent Johnson. He had an incredible combination of size, smart, coachable, and really nasty. He was a mean dude, and he weighed 235, 40 pounds. He would be probably what I would refer to as a very prototypical offensive tackle, even today, by what we do. So I start with him. Again, that doesn't mean I put him at the top, nothing like that. Next, I'll go with Rick Meyer. Rick played really. He was probably the most coachable. These guys, Rick probably more than Brent. They played in a time where it was our offense was pretty basic, pretty simple, which is the way you like it. You have to do that as much as you can. So he belongs on Mount Rushmore. I just put it that way. Next one was Big John Denikus. If John would have been a little bit more coachable, a little bit more disciplined, and that's you throw them two into it. Oh man, because he was big, strong, athletic, and really nasty dude. And when he made up his mind to, he could clear it out, literally, because he was that big and that strong. But boy, did we have some interesting discussions in practice occasionally. Good memories. And my last one, it would be Trevor Deeren, very recent. Trevor probably wasn't as big and strong as these guys. Well, I wouldn't say that about the strength because of the training of today versus older times, I guess. But Trevor is a prototypical offensive tackle of today. Long. He is not terribly tall, but he was really long with his arms and everything. He was big enough, 235, 40. These are terms I would have never used back in 94, this type of term. But he had that long leverage. You hear that a lot nowadays with offensive tackles. He knew how to use his length as leverage, and he was really good at it. He was very smart. He had a good, nasty streak,
Is he a
which
boy,
is important.
Boy, of Todd or
Todd's boy,
Todd's
yeah.
boy?
Yeah, Todd's boy, yeah. And two-time All-Stater, first-team All-Stater. You know, that speaks for itself in its own. But a whole bunch more, really a whole bunch more. But I won't even do any special mentions because there's too many of them. But those four are pretty dang good.
All right. Well, as always, we overlap on a few of them. Mine are also in no particular order. Brent Johnson. I think Brent was still progressing in that 06 season when he started. Got better every game, and he was downright nasty his senior year. The same thing. I've heard stories about him from other linemen that played with him at that
Casey
point.
Peters will
nasty
tell
he
you some
was.
cool stories about him.
Caleb Montag has
Caleb
some really
too,
good
yeah.
stuff to tell him about that. Next one, Monty Klinkenberg, 6'6", very athletic. You know, his injury in that year, 91, was kind of a key reason why they couldn't get that championship game that year against Garner Hayfield. He was huge on that offensive line. Played alongside Adam Timmerman at SDSU until an injury kind of derailed his career early, but he was a starter next to Adam Timmerman there. Rick Meyer, big, very strong. Rick is a classic example of one of those guys that, again, a lot of CLGLR guys, those linemen that have played a skill position when they were younger. Rick was kind of a tight end type of kid, and we moved him to tackle, and that was a good fit for him. Had a good stretch throughout his career at ours, and then he went and had a good career at Augie.
Yep.
And
Played some good football
he did.
there.
Finally, Johnny Denikus, he had just the right amount of technique combined with strength and mixed with a whole lot of badass to make him a great lineman, very athletic. 260 pounds. I remember numerous times I've talked about it here on the broadcast where Roger Meyer would break a tackle and be down the field, and Johnny would pull up next to him.
Yep.
And it was crazy to watch that. But he probably learned from his big brother a little bit too. So
I think so. Yeah,
You
I
bet.
think so. Yeah.
All right.
Yep. I don't really have much change, so I'm just going to read mine quick. I go with Brent. I'm going to go with Brent Johnson, Trevor Darren, Rick Meyer, and John Denikus. So a lot of them overlap, like you said. So but getting down there, I think the only position we have left is outside linebacker from the Mount Rushmore. So, and that will be fun. And that's another position as you go through the years that you'll see that kids move from middle linebacker to outside linebacker, safety to outside linebacker type thing. So, but the reason we're here tonight is from the 1994. This is the focus of our episode. This tonight, as we move into that, this team went 7-2 in the year. They missed the playoffs by 1 point in the 13-point system for district games only.
Coach, did those points count? Those first two games?
No,
They
it was
didn't.
just
Okay.
district.
Just district
This
games.
is just district,
Okay.
but it was 1 point throughout the entire season. It wasn't just 1 point per game. It was 1 point throughout the entire season they missed the playoffs by.
Yeah, right.
And so,
So you earn a point by winning?
nope. It's
No.
based on the 13-point rule. So,
Okay.
Actually, a
Win
point
by
scored
13,
on the
yep.
scoreboard
Okay.
point.
yep.
Okay.
So on the board, yeah. So like, anything over 13, the max you get is 13 points.
Because I remember we had to beat Sioux Center by so many points.
We
MOC.
did. MOC, yeah.
My bad, MOC.
And we
And
did.
we did.
We did, yeah.
We covered that game, and we still didn't make it.
The one that probably hurt the most is Sioux Center.
Right.
That one screwed us.
Yeah.
I thought Rock Valley was the one that actually screwed us over more.
Well, there
Center
were
was really
so, yeah.
tight.
there were other things across the state. I remember clearly it was for sure 3 and maybe 4 things that had to happen, assuming we won by 13, which we did, that had to happen for us not to make it. And they all happened.
And I remember
Sick to my
I
stomach.
remember like it was yesterday, Dewey, and I'm sure you do too. We'll probably talk about it later on. You know, I remember that night at Coach Knoll's house, everybody came over for supper that night.
Yep.
And everybody left. Everybody's thinking, okay, we got it. I remember Sean Olson, a couple guys came back
Came
and
back,
knocked on the
yeah.
door, and Dick had just found out from the Sioux City Journal. He found out from the Sioux City Journal at that point,
I was there
and
with
nobody knew,
Yeah, you were
and
with
they
him.
all
I was
showed
with
up.
him.
And
I remember
and,
you guys coming.
It was like a death march after
He
that.
was.
It
He was sick to
crazy.
his stomach.
Yeah.
Sick to his stomach.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which leads us into that point because that was Dick's last game.
Yep.
Yep, correct. Yep.
In that game, he pulled me out in the fourth quarter, and he's like, "You boys need to win by 13. Get out there and tell the defense you have to win by 13."
Yeah, it would have been all moot had we not.
Right.
I mean, we were done if we hadn't.
And we came out and we won by 13.
Yeah. Against a good team.
So I bet you had no problem running back to the huddle and telling the boys to get after it. That
No, I had a little more energy getting back out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still remember the next morning waking up, and I hadn't heard it. I had left Dick's already.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Next morning, wake up, and Mom was at Monty's place, I think, with his parents, and Mom told me, "Yeah, you guys didn't make it." Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What the
Yeah,
heck?
I remember Dick was on the phone with Sioux City Journal, and he has this look on his face like, "You got to be kidding me." It was like everybody thought it was a done deal, and it was just it was
And we
crazy.
were rolling. I mean, at that time, we were the hottest team. Playing.
Yes.
Holy cow, we were playing good.
I think that's why everybody felt sick, because
Right.
we were as good as anybody in the state.
We were playing good football.
Yes.
I remember that.
You
Would
get
have
that
been
right.
nice to play Westline at the end of the season when we
Right.
were rolling that.
Right.
Get
And that
that.
very likely could have happened.
Right.
Well, we would have had
Should
the
have.
first round.
We would have had him
Probably,
first
yeah.
round.
First round.
Emmitsburg played him first round, and we went to that game.
Yep.
And Emmitsburg wailed on him.
They did.
Yeah, that's crazy.
They had two good players over there, honestly. I mean, they had Vandenbosch and Woods.
Right.
Both of them wanted to do great things.
They were all right.
they were okay.
But it was just a physical game, and
Right.
we just beat the shit out of each other.
Right.
Yep.
Right. What was the score of our game? Was it 6-0?
6-0.
And we'll talk about that as we go along here.
Yeah, we'll go back to that.
And so, talk about the coaches. Like I said, Dick Null, head coach. That was his last year. Greg Schmidt, Dwayne Postma, Ken Roseberry. That was Ken's last year also. Toby Lorenzen, Terry Van Berkom, and then Ed Berkey.
Big Ed.
Big Ed.
I just love when people say Ed Berkey and everybody just laughs. I don't know why, but everybody just laughs.
Because everybody goes their encyclopedia of stories about Ed.
The ones that I remember, I'm pretty sure I can lead the charge in those stories. And I'm not talking about old age memory either.
I'm going to read the roster. We like to do every year. I think it's important. But as we go through, just for the to know who's on the team. So, number 3, David Williamson.
Williamson.
Okay. So, number 5, Adam Van Overmeer. Number 7, Casey Grafing. 10, Greg Groen. Number 12, Josh Clausen. 19, Nick Nelson. Number 20, Ryan Odens. Number 23, Dave Verstag. 25, Monty Post. 27, Russ Enner. 28, Jeff Jager. Number 30, Roger Meyer. Number 31, Adam Grant. Number 34, Jim Foster. Number 35, Scotty Postma. Number 36, Casey Call. Number 40, Terry Brunsma. Number 47, Justin Boovy. Number 50, Matt Ullum. 65, Josh Denikis. 56, Derek Cruz. 57, Paul Denikis. 58, Justin Driscoll. 59, Mike Warncheese. 60, Ray Johnson. 62, Adam Boone.
Hey, Coach,
Yes.
I got to cut in.
Yep.
That's got to be a 30-year-old misprint. Paul Denikis, 229 pounds. I don't get
I was back then.
Man, I don't know, dude. I don't know.
I was slim and trim then.
Yeah, he was.
Drew, what do you weigh today? Yeah, I don't believe it.
I looked a lot different. I looked a lot different then.
I'm sorry, I don't
I've
believe
only
it.
put on the freshman 40.
I love you, buddy, but I don't believe it.
We'll start over with number 60, Ray Johnson. Number 62, Adam Boone. Number 64, Eric Eben. Number 66, Rick Metzger. 68, Bobby Roman. 71, Steve Roman. 74, Jason Fugit. 76, Craig Wienia. 77, Eric Sproke. 79, Jeremy Jager. 81, Sean Olson. 82, Nathan Heiser. 85, Jason Gruce. 88, Paul Behrens. Again, the managers were Brian Abramson, Will Nestor, Brad Thiedens.
There's a name. If we've talked about this, Mount Rushmore of managers. Brad Thiedens would get my consideration.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about old Brad. If you're out there, Brad, hi, buddy.
We got a list of cheerleaders since there one's sitting in here. Amy
Yeah.
Brink, Dana Kudum, Jill DeGroat, a.k.a. Jill Postma, Christy
Oh, I wonder if
Brinkhouse.
she was there for her boyfriend.
The only reason she was a cheerleader.
Front row to the tight pants. I got it.
She probably wasn't looking at just yours, Scotty.
I'm the one that you went home with.
Good answer. Good answer.
I know where we're at. But Alyssa Clevenger and Sherry DeBoer. I think that's Christy Brinkhouse. But all right.
Keep it clean, Scott. Keep it clean.
I was told this was
Yeah,
okay.
no, you're good. You're good.
You know, going through that roster, I'm just going to say some things myself. I'll start with our starting tailback, and one of the starting halfbacks, number 40, Terry Brunsma. He was 128 pounds, baby.
And that was probably pushing it.
That was with all his pads on.
So yeah. Yep.
I'll go back to the left defensive end, Eric Eben, 171 pounds.
Yeah, he was tiny.
He was
I'm
good.
thinking
He
Eric,
was tough.
I'm thinking
He was
Eric.
tough.
I'm thinking Eric had
He was-
weighed in with some weights in his
He
pants.
was
too.
exactly remember those kind of DNs that Schmitty loved.
Yeah,
he
he
loved
did.
those guys.
Yeah,
they were
he
just so disciplined. They
Well,
could do
if
what
they-
they had to do.
He loved them if they were disciplined.
Right,
They had
right.
to have the discipline. And he did. And all those little guys did. You got to love it.
Roger Meyer looked big out there, at 210 pounds.
Yeah.
You know, we
Man,
were talking about Rick, if I remember right, I think you little guy coaches allowed it. We have these discussions a lot nowadays, but I think Rick wanted to be just like his brother, a running back. And it's like, no, he's playing the line. One of them deals where
Yep.
I got my way a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah, and he's glad he did, by the way.
There were some dudes on that roster. Good
Yeah.
bunch of kids.
Yeah.
Really good athletes.
Right.
Yeah.
Talk about injuries. I think the only thing that I saw going through the newspaper articles was Josh Clausen hurt his knee, I think, in the Sheldon game, if I remember right. I think it was homecoming. No?
He hurt it the first
After
game
the
of the year, I
first game.
believe, and then sat the second game.
Yep.
At least the quarterback did, and then he came back and played. And then him and Nick started rotating it more. Is that what it was?
I think so,
Yep.
yeah.
I think so.
Right.
And then he
Yeah, I don't
played
remember.
more defense, I think,
Right.
for a few games there. And then I think halfway through the season, he
Yeah.
Nick kind of took
was
over.
down.
Yeah,
Nick
the
took
move was
over.
made.
And I don't even think he was playing linebacker anymore. Did he have surgery or something?
Yeah. I
believe
think,
at
I think that
point
was
in time.
season. I'm pretty sure after the homecoming game against Sheldon, he was done then.
I think there was 3 games left in the season then.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
So you look at this roster, it's very typical of what we see a lot with good teams. 21 seniors.
Yep.
That's a real telltale of some of our really good teams. This one being no different.
We had a long run there with CLGLR where we'd basically have 20 kids per class.
Yeah, yeah.
And and we'd have a few more in each class, and we'd end up with close to 100. But yeah, that was having a 20 group of seniors is huge.
Yeah, it really is.
I'm going to go through the starters as we go through here. Now, these starters are from watching game and trying to talk to people and get the starters. So if I'm wrong.
We'll confirm you.
You know, one thing about it, like, again, Coach Jeff Cruz is our media guy here. He takes care of everything. Jeff, if they can chat on YouTube, right? So if you're listening live and you want to say something, hit the YouTube up, write us a little message on there. Jeff will look it up and we'll repeat it. So if I say these things wrong, I'm going to start with left tackle Adam Boone, left guard Derek Cruz, center Craig Winia, right guard Ray Johnson, right tackle Paul Denikis.
I still got that backwards.
Yeah, I know you do, but
I know that was 30 years ago, but
30 years ago, wow.
we're gonna go
Always
to
lined up on my right.
What'd you
Paul.
say on the left side?
You were over here. You were over here, Paul.
left side.
Well, left side, yeah.
Left side, I had Adam Boone and Derek Cruz.
Actually, it was Mike Warnches
Yeah.
was
But
the
you know,
starting
Mike
but-
left
but
Warchie
you
guard.
know
and
what?
Justin Driscoll, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Or-
I think
yeah.
Justin Driscoll was
Yes,
left.
I believe you're right.
Justin was left
tackle.
tackle,
Yeah.
and when Mike Warnches was left guard.
Left guard, yeah.
Yep.
I'm not going to say where I got my sources from. I don't want to say anything, but
Up on the screen here, I'm watching this game
Fake.
here as it goes. It's pretty easy why Brunsma was good. He looks like he's 2 feet tall out there compared to everybody else.
Little
You
Oompa
can't even
Loompa.
find him back there.
Can't find him, exactly.
Here's a little Oompa Loompa back there.
He was pretty quick, too, so.
Yeah.
He was quick.
So we're going to go tight ends. Was this tight end by committee? Who were the starting tight ends?
Paul and Sean.
Paul and Sean, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
But there was
Josh Clausen played some.
I don't know.
Jeremy Clausen played.
Jeremy
a
was
little bit.
tight end, yeah, but I don't know about
Not, not our
Josh.
year.
Jeremy made the Mount Rushmore.
Josh was quarterback
Josh
only.
was quarterback,
Monty
yep.
played a little tight end.
Yep.
You
I
played-
brought in plays.
Didn't
Right,
Justin
that's
Bowie
right.
play some tight end too, or not? Didn't
He
he
was
play?
split end.
Okay.
He was wide.
So Justin Bowie played a little split end. Fullback was Roger Meyer. The two starting halfbacks were Adam Grant and Terry Brunsma. Scott came in a little bit, correct?
Correct.
You guys all played wishbone, right? There was
Yes.
no power eye.
No.
No, it was all wishbone.
Okay.
We kind of did that, I think, our junior year, but our senior year, we moved back to the wishbone.
Ran some double wing stuff I saw.
I think the junior year we were trying to do some of
you
that
gotta bring some
Emmitsburg
of that
stuff,
back.
that quick huddle stuff maybe, and
Yep.
yeah.
And then quarterback was Nick Nelson. Okay, defensive ends, Paul Behrens and Eric Eben. Again, call me if I'm wrong on these guys. That's D tackles were Paul Denikis and Russ Enner.
Russell.
So linebacker.
What was it?
Russell.
Russell. the
He was a
muscle.
character boy.
He was a good guy.
Oh, Russ, well, never sure if Russ was coming to practice that night or not.
Yeah, you never knew. When he showed up, though, he showed up.
Showed up, you knew he was there,
was
that's for
there.
sure.
Jagger reminded us of his nicknames. Anybody remember?
I
Ball. 8-ball.
8-ball?
No.
No.
No, it was Russell, the love muscle.
Oh, I don't remember that.
That must have been an inside deal.
The George thing.
Jager's over there going, God dang, don't put my name
Sorry,
in
Jagger.
D tackles were, I said that, okay. Linebackers, middle linebackers, Ray Johnson. Outside linebacker was Josh Clausen and Sean Olson. And then when Josh got hurt, Roger went to outside and played outside linebacker to finish the year.
It was a good linebacking crew, boy.
And then corners are Justin Boovy and Casey Grafing. And then the safeties were Scott Postman and Adam Grant. And if they went to a 4-4, Adam would roll down to make that 4-4 box.
Man, Eric Eben, the smallest guy out there, and Paul Behrens, the biggest man in the entire county out there.
He was a big
bruiser. He was a big dude.
I just felt like number
Holy
88
buckets.
fit him perfect.
Yeah.
He was just too bald.
Here?
It says 245 on here.
He was a kicker, yeah.
Oh, kicker, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was 229. I know I was.
I can't believe I was 193. I must have had some
And
20-pound weights in my
it-
back pocket.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I think it should have been 139.
I was going to say
Ray, it
one-
had you at 200. It had you at 200. You didn't weigh 200 pounds.
No.
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 How many rolls of quarters did you throw in your pockets that day?
Couldn't. I burned them all up in the car wash.
That's right. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy.
Especially the one in Dune. Huh?
Right, right on.
Specialties, extra point, Paul Behrens, punter, Jason Gruce, holder, Casey Grafings, and kickoff, Paul Behrens. Like I said, I talked about the managers already. So, again, that's starters. Any other players that came in, guys, that for the starters that rotated or helped each other out throughout?
If I remember right, Paul kind of started that era of kickers where you never knew where the kickoff was going after they kicked it. You know, and Jeremy Clausen kept going after that, and
Well, it was 17 feet from his leg to his foot.
Yeah, you're right.
You couldn't control that.
you got that right.
I think Josh rotated in on linebacker quite a
Yeah,
bit too.
Josh Jenicus. Yep.
I know he did quite a few tackles, and I wasn't sure if that was cleanup time throughout that time. I know he led the team in tackles in a couple games, but I wasn't sure where that was at. So let's move into the season here a little bit as we go along. Look, first of all, before we go on the season, let's talk about junior high with you guys. Obviously, CL had their own junior high. George Little Rock had their own junior high. And then, but do you guys remember how your junior high years went, freshman, sophomore years? Were you guys pretty talented?
Junior high guys, I think we were average, maybe 5 and 5, whatever. How many games you had back then?
I think we had more wins than losses. But
but like our freshman year, we probably went
Freshman year
5 and 4, something like that.
well,
Then our sophomore year, we went undefeated.
Okay.
yep.
I didn't get to play with you guys though.
No, that's right. Yeah, you got bumped up, and you
right.
you
Yep.
often said you're
I
like,
did get to play one game. And
But
I left a streak down Brady Albert's helmet.
Attaboy. Attaboy.
I striped his helmet.
Attaboy.
Every time the play would come in, I'd always have to play defense. Roseberry says no offense. Dick said so.
You mean Coach No?
Yeah. Well, there's
So
a few
you-
other names we had for him too. But
You got a big one on Brady
so,
Albers, huh?
so I had Toby, and it was whatever play was, just stunt Denikus. Just go ahead.
Yep.
And we pinned him back, and I striped his helmet good. But it was fun. One game.
Yeah,
One
we
game.
used you. We definitely used you.
Well, I did one game though. It was fun.
we used your slim 222 pounds or 29
29.
pounds. Let me get that straight, 29.
But yeah,
So
So how about it? How about it, George Little Rock? Who was like the quarterback in junior high for you guys?
Josh.
Josh was okay.
That's right.
Gotcha.
yeah.
I don't remember junior high.
Long time ago.
I didn't play junior. I was in
Yeah.
Dune Christian
That's
School.
right.
Oh, that's right.
You didn't
Yeah.
come till freshman.
So I didn't come till
That's right.
freshman year.
Yeah.
Stood on the sidelines.
Yeah, he did. He came to a lot of games.
Twyla,
Yeah.
Ray's mom, took me to just about every game, you guys. I was kind of the scout, checking where I'd fit in.
We were recruiting.
Well, I'm
him
just
to come
glad-
to Rock Rapids.
Nice
We were
re-
in the he was
Nice
in the
recruiting
phase.
job, Twilight. Not a girl.
It was a bunch. It was a bunch of years of recruiting. Well, I think Monty's going to come to school next year. No, the next year he would. I think Monty's going to come here the next year. No, he wouldn't. I finally got him.
Finally.
Well, Ray, I'm glad that you had more of an influence on him than Jill did. Otherwise, he'd be a cheerleader, I guess.
Ooh.
All right, the gloves are off.
Yeah, I think so. buddy.
Gloves are off.
I think so. I think so. It sounds like it.
Monty's rolling up his sleeves. He's ready to go.
Move the tables.
Is it hot in here?
One-on-one
Yeah,
drill.
hot
It's
in
got
here.
really hot in here.
Move the tables. We're doing a one-on-one drill.
There's one thing, thinking about, you said, JV and stuff like that, we aren't undefeated. One of the memories that I have, and I don't know why, we were playing Spencer at home, and they had one kid that was he was a monster, and he was running back, and I don't know, were you JV coach at
Yeah.
that point in time?
Roseberry and I were.
Yep. And he was running all over us, and we were actually playing pretty scared. And you came out and said, somebody's got to hit that guy. And a play or two later, I think it was Rick Metzer, that kind of just stuck him right in the hole. And it changed the whole perspective of the game after that. And
Remember it.
we went on and won that game. And I don't know.
That was a big game because
It was a big
Spencer
game.
was Spencer.
Yeah,
everybody
right,
was-
It was like
Exactly.
3A
Yeah,
school.
they were the big boys. And
What was his name? They had a stud player from Spencer, like right after we graduated. Gabe Toft? Does that sound familiar?
well, Gabe Toff.
but-
There was Gabe Toff, and then there was another Kevin somebody or other that played running back for him. That was
Right.
good.
That
Big
could
kid.
be,
Big
yeah.
kid. Yeah. Because they were in the championship the next year.
Yeah, after
yeah.
you're
Yeah.
right. Remember that name.
We'll move into the season here a little bit. We'll talk about each game. Again, game one went up to we were at Laverne, came away, got beat 20-14. Again, Paul, how was that game for you?
What I remember, we lost. It says it right on the paper.
Well, let's look at the tape.
Why, Paul's in street clothes.
No, I wasn't. Raymond told me I wasn't in street clothes. That was my junior year. That's not so much I remember when I got that dang stupid ticket.
Man, the gloves are off tonight.
They are. Man, wow.
I'm not sure how good Laverne ended up that year, but the year before they were pretty tough.
Yeah.
And they were
And that was a great game we always had with them. And that, the next year after you guys graduated was the last time we ever played them in varsity football.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, stat wise, we had 301 yards total yards, and they had 199.
Yeah.
So
They had a couple big plays there that they got behind their backs and scored on a couple of pass plays.
Yeah.
And then
Calling
evidently,
me out.
was it a kickoff return or something?
Kickoff or a punt.
Who are the DBs there again? I forget.
I will blame it on Gravy.
There you go. I invited him here tonight. I don't know if he's listening or not, but I invited him, like, come on down.
But we played, I don't remember a lot of it either. It's that we always played Laverne really tough.
Oh,
They always
yeah.
played us really tough. Pretty good game for us to start the season with, and we rebounded.
Yeah, it
from
was it was always, I thought it was billed like kind of almost a border battle, and it was
Yeah,
it got pretty intense, and it was a great first game for us. And I mean, for us to come out of the chute like that was big.
Yeah, it was a
And,
natural.
You know, a struggle. They're good. They're a good team, and
Yeah.
they were always ready for us.
a team that had they had 14 first downs. We had 14 first downs, 234 yards rushing. They had 143 yards rushing. So again, typical back and forth type of game. I was trying to.
We were
know
still,
if
you
it
know,
was-
offensively wise, we were really. We had not found ourselves yet on who was going to be. You know, you throw a couple of sophomores in that backfield. You know, you got a quarterback that, you know, the quarterback position was still kind of up in the air. So it was kind of even though our offense was pretty basic, it was still kind of a what are we going to do here? Which way are we going to go?
Was Roger starting at that time? Did
He
start?
started.
He did?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he did, yeah.
Yep.
And one of the things.
And he was a freshman at that time.
No,
Sophomore, yeah.
Yeah. One of the things I remember about, and we'll see that as we go through the whole season, is penalties and turnovers just killed us. And if I remember correctly, we had
Timely
key
penalties. just
drives
killers.
that we were driving the ball and turnover after turnover, and
Yes.
it just killed us. We killed ourselves a lot of this.
Yeah, it wasn't that we weren't in that game. It was just that, every time we'd get something going, there'd be a penalty or a turnover.
Yep.
Yeah.
One thing that you guys look back on, you guys' senior class. Number one, who are the captains?
Ray was one, I think, weren't you?
Ray and
Adam.
Paul.
No.
No.
Sean Olson.
Sean Olsen, Adam Grant, me, and there was one other one.
So
Was
Ray,
it Josh?
Clausen?
I don't think it was Josh.
No.
It was just us three. I don't
Was it
remember
just
either.
the three of you? I can't remember for sure either.
is there anybody that you guys going through that was just the guy that you looked up to? And it could be different guys from different perspectives, but from a team chemistry point, you know, obviously not playing junior high and then molding together as a ninth, Monty not even playing, coming in later on. But is there anybody that you guys look like, you know, even if it's a GLR guy that you just look forward to playing with, maybe so much, or just when you got to the football field, you just had the dudes? I guess that's.
Well, for me, I'll start. I'd look to Raymond and Paul, quite frankly.
Sure.
You know, those were the two that I would think of that were kind of the leaders of, you know, Raymond especially.
Yeah.
You know, he was all district, I think, as an offense lineman, but he was just as impressive, you know, as a linebacker. And, you know, Paul's a great offense lineman. So those are the two that come to mind for me.
When we had to protect you, we did make sure the holes were big enough to get you little skinny guys through.
Well, exactly, you know. But
I always remember when Ray would come back and Ray was intense and he was just, his eyes would be this big and he'd just be like, all right, he's in Ray's zone. He'd just get out of his way.
Yeah. He was what I would refer to as the take charge leader.
Yep.
He, no doubt in my mind. There's always lead by examples, quite a few of them, but not too many take charge leaders. Ray was one of those guys.
absolutely.
Yeah, so, you know, I always, like I said, Ray, you were a good offensive lineman, but when I heard Ray Johnson, I always thought linebacker, and just that you brought it all the time on that. Paul, I always felt like he was the kingpin up on that front line, you know, that kind of, you know, everything kind of revolved around on him on that, and you know, I totally agree with you, Scott, on that.
What I'll say is, like, when these guys came over when we were all freshmen, it's like we'd been playing together for 5 or 6 years already. I mean, you didn't butt heads with anybody. We just went in and did our jobs, became excellent friends over the years.
Which
you
is
know,
really
still-
unique, but not butting heads right away because you didn't play junior high
Yeah.
together.
Right, no,
Yeah.
we came in and he was like, hey, you're here? All right, let's go. It's
You know,
it's
and
time to go.
Is there anybody that you guys remember from practice that you practiced against that maybe didn't play as much but made you a better player?
I know of one, but I'll let these guys say it too. That I think I was always totally impressed with.
Josh Denicus, he was. I mean, he was always hard nosed in there, bust your chops.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you're slacking off, he'd make you look bad.
Yep.
Yep.
One that I always thought of, and I saw him in practice. I saw him at the lower levels. He was very advanced body-wise, strength-wise. Was David Williamson?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
I thought he was a freak of an athlete at that, and he just never really got the breaks at the right positions to play a lot for us. He helped us a lot, but never really became that guy. But he was put together and he was athletic.
Yeah, a lot of kids fade away when that happens,
Yeah.
but he saw where he could
Yeah.
help. And that was a good one, yeah. Josh was a good example too.
But
Josh was nasty.
I didn't think that, that year, one of us that got hurt, the next guy that stepped in was any less than the guy that was a
Yeah.
starter. I mean,
Yeah.
we were all, and we were equally, on the field. So
Yeah, I totally agree.
It's one of the things I look back at too. We were just a bunch of guys that came together in the whole team aspect of it. To say that there was one superstar,
Yeah.
really not.
Right. Wasn't. No.
We just all played for each other, and
Yep.
that's what.
And it's
made
really
it
kind of
special.
impressive that you did that, because usually it's kind of that quarterback that solidifies things. And you guys really you were going through what we're going to do at quarterback situation pretty much most of the year that year, and you were still able to come together really tight in that whole situation.
Yeah, yeah. We had no summer lifting programs or none of that
No,
kind of stuff.
absolutely not.
So
No,
you
that's
guys
'cause
were
we all
pretty
had
much
jobs.
Yeah,
Job.
it was just a total different time,
And we need to talk about that lifting, the facilities that we had.
We still had the closet.
The
that
closet.
was-
We had still had a
Those are
closet.
I don't know, could you call it a closet?
It
even?
wasn't. It was a storage.
It was a storage area.
It
small.
was the stupidest thing ever. If you look back on what you guys have now, everybody would laugh. Sorry, that's off track a little bit.
Yeah, well,
It was
no.
about
I'm
as
sure
necessary.
this isn't
Did
the
you
first
ever,
time
did
that
you
it's
ever
been
get in
brought
on the
up.
closet?
Oh, yeah.
You were in the closet?
Yeah, Adam Boom taped me to the first weight bench. So I changed it. As an 8th grader, I changed the music in the weight room.
Adam
Boone took
Adam
care of
Boone
that.
is my hero right now. That's my punch. Right there.
I'm sure he's a lot of people's heroes, to be honest,
We taught him well.
Bonnie. Yeah, he did.
I kind of always finally refer to that weight room as the Hank Grant Memorial Weight
Oh
Room.
yes,
Absolutely.
Well, we
he
had-
was there every morning.
Every morning had his can of, or his bottle of pop
Yep.
and his 3-pack of Hostess cupcakes or whatever.
You used to eat the Bounty, like the coconut Bounty candy
Yep.
bars.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's
right.
right. Almond Joy or Almond Joys.
Did we still have the old Universal machine then?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
We
Yeah.
still had that. Oh my
And the
goodness.
leaper was in there, and
It was the size of. I mean, where we're sitting, maybe
Yeah. Yeah.
twice
From
this
Here
size.
to the
You're
bar.
not-
That's
you're-
about
You
it.
get up
You're
the-
not
you
exaggerating.
get up the
No.
bench too quick, you'd hit your head on the
on the vent.
ductwork.
Ductwork. Yeah.
Yeah.
My God, I'd forgotten about that. Holy smokes.
I'm sure George's was way better at that point too, wasn't it?
No.
Yeah, you're right.
That kind of held us back. I'm not gonna lie. You were
Oh, yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
in charge of that,
Yeah.
that back in the day. You should have really stepped up.
Yeah. Well, it was Hank. I remember when Coach Grant got the new machine, man. That was a big deal.
To get one machine.
And then
The-
shoved
the
it in that.
universal- Yeah, it was a
Shoved it
big
in that
deal.
closet.
What year
Yeah.
was that? 1822
Yeah, it
or
was.
what?
It goes back to the
70s.
late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah, I was gonna say just after you graduated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a big deal.
Yeah, it was a different era, you know. Yeah. Just think where you guys had been at that point with a huge weight room and a good, a good weight program. But nobody was at that point. That's what it was. Nobody was doing summer stuff.
That's why it's
No.
impossible.
Our senior year, between our junior and senior year, we did do the mechanic acceleration. There was
Right.
5 of us
Yeah.
that did that.
And they were just starting that.
Just
starting
beginning
that.
it,
That was
yeah.
like their
That's right.
first.
That was a big deal.
That
yeah.
was.
It was
Remember Norm? Was that his name?
Norm and-
Norm, yeah.
Norm
yeah.
and Dick.
Yeah. Oh my God, I can tell you stories about them.
I know,
guys.
I heard a lot of
Holy
stories.
smokes.
And I've been preaching it forever, and these guys have too. You look at that lineup. How many multi-sport guys too? There's your training right there.
Yeah.
Every one of you guys was in wrestling or basketball or baseball or track or all the way through.
That's why it's so
Yeah.
hard to make comparisons of players and teams from different eras, mainly because of the training methods, mainly because of that.
Yep.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
And the I mean, we're very lucky to have the coaching staff and the volunteers we have today versus the staff back then when you're doing,
Yeah.
Dick called the offense and you had maybe offensive line, maybe defense line, Schmidt had
Little bit,
defense,
yeah.
and that was it. Like, you didn't have individual sessions, you didn't have the practice, it's probably just more team stuff at that time. And
Yep.
the game is you can't compare it, and that's why it's fun. But
Do you have strength and conditioning coaches or not? I
we have strength and conditioning class every day.
Classes.
And so
And-
Travis Shipper is our high school phys ed teacher.
I think
And
that would be huge. I mean, as
it is.
far as
It's
a
a
program
game
goes.
changer.
It
Like,
is.
For currently, our kids get roughly 38 minutes to lift every day. Wednesdays they do plyos and Tobe.
Just during their
Tobe started
school
that. Yeah.
Right, but I'm just saying.
We do.
Get
It
somebody in
started,
there.
a specialist coach started with Dan Snyder. He did it for quite a while. Now, fill me in, but Jeff did it for a number of years.
Yep.
And that was their deal. Grant Engel did it for several years, and now Travis Shipper is in it. And
I think
they specialize in it.
That would be
So, yeah.
that would have been huge back in the day. I mean,
Oh,
if you guys got it now, that's awesome.
Yeah. No, it's been our kids are, they don't even know how lucky they are. I mean,
Right.
Right. You guys know what you had.
Yeah,
It.
yeah,
Our kids
right.
are just going through it, and it's just extremely important. And you see our weight room.
Yeah.
It's one of the top weight rooms.
It is in the nation.
Yeah, it is.
But you can look at facilities back then with what we had, which was a joke. But I don't know that anybody else had much better, to be
No,
honest.
you're right.
But you
To
think
what
about
we
it.
got, but it's all about the attitude when you go in there and the people.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
You're right.
We had a lot of strong guys on this team. And none of it was really because of the weight room either. It was just they were a lot of functional strength, a lot of work strength, a lot of farm strength, a lot of kids that just
A lot of hay bales.
a lot
and
of
hunting
bales
or-
and very
gonna say
very
the same
strong and very very strong kids up top.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably the biggest difference that you'll see from that age until today is that the mental
Yeah.
ability
one thing-
to get over things like
Yeah.
baling hay in the hot. You guys just did it, and that was just part of your daily. And everybody did it. Today's kids, they're like, well, when are we gonna stop? When are we gonna? The mentality is so much different. So if you could, if the crazy part, if you could have the early '90s, the '94 mentality with today's weight room.
Oh,
yeah.
God. And then that is the one thing when you compare players and teams from one era, early time, to now, the intangible of mental toughness goes all the way to them guys,
Right.
to the older
Yeah.
generation.
Yep.
No doubt about
Right.
it. And that's big. That's a big deal.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Keep moving on here. We'll talk about the Lamar's game. Came back after a tough loss and had a huge win against Lamar's. Played extremely good football.
Did I see 20 tackles from Ray Johnson in that game?
That's what it
I believe
says.
so.
That's getting it done.
I can remember the following Monday, Coach Schmidt, I was walking down the hall, and he's like, come over here. I'm like, what's up, Coach? He's like, I've never had a guy with 20 tackles in one game ever. I'm like, really? You sure? But he was like, yeah, he was super excited. I didn't realize they had that many tackles.
What was the score of that
You
game?
were in the zone.
42-28.
We won, right?
We beat them worse than the score, I
Paul
felt.
and I were talking. You know who the quarterback of Lamar's was?
Yeah,
I was
a
gonna
very
bring that
familiar
up.
name, yes.
Jerry Paletzky.
Jerry
Same
Paletzky.
Jerry Paletzky.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't believe we kicked his ass back then already. I think we still could.
Who is it?
Oh, Jerry Paletzky. He's a teacher now. at
Oh,
Central
okay,
Iowa.
okay.
He was on our staff.
All right,
for
okay,
years
yeah,
now.
yeah, no, the name.
Yeah.
And that's a one.
school
That's a one
baseball
tape.
coach.
That's
Yep.
a one tape we don't have.
Yeah.
He's
Maybe-
probably
did you
behind
ask
you.
Jerry? Yeah, you got it?
Sure, go ask
Maybe
me.
he doesn't want to
confiscated it.
show it to us.
Monday morning, I'll get there and be on my desk. Let me check how many yards you threw for first.
And you know what? The Lamar's game is big because that's
Right.
beating Lamar's, and Coach Knoll's also from Lamar's.
Yeah.
So
Really?
yeah, so it was big for us to win that
That
game.
was huge.
And our
Wasn't that
overall
Lorenzen
record
Field yet?
was good.
Wasn't that Lorenzen Field?
And at that point, it was.
At that point?
No,
Oh,
but-
it might have been right around there. Yeah.
Pretty
It
close.
was,
But we played them here,
Yeah.
though.
Yeah, we
Played them in
was,
Rock
yeah.
Rapids.
Are
we sure?
Yeah.
I just remember.
Yeah,
Ray,
that was our first
I just
home
remember Ray
game.
was
Okay.
all Ray was all over the field that night. I just remember
That,
it was
that game, it was
crazy.
like 95 degrees on the field at 7 o'clock.
Really?
it was that hot yet.
Was it still racing day? Was it still the cars?
I believe there was still races going on.
Yep.
Nothing better than hearing
The sprint cars.
sprint cars in the background.
Wheel to wheel, hub to hub.
Yeah, racing action. Racing action.
Yeah, that brought a lot of people to town, I guess, back in the day.
Home field advantage with the sprint cars in the background.
Yeah.
Yep. And Lamar's was 3A, correct?
I was going to say that. They
Yep.
were 3A.
Yep. And,
Were
and
we-
Laverne was, basically a 3A too.
Were we 2A then or 1A?
Yeah,
2A?
2A. Yep.
How did Lamar's ever end up? Anybody ever know?
I can't remember. They were just starting their run there, so they were pretty good
They had
for
a
a
stud
variety of
too.
years.
I
Yeah.
forget his name.
Shuff.
Shuff.
But he was
Not on-
That was the
too
following.
young.
That was the following year. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think
Well,
we
wasn't
caught
that-
them just before they made their
Right.
big run.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good. It's a anytime we beat those guys, that was a big win for
Yep.
us. That was huge. Always a big deal. Always a big deal.
I think that night I was still a little angry because we lost to Laverne. So
Yeah.
I wanted to take a little out on the next opponent. So
You did.
and you couldn't do it in practice because you needed your teammates.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We always got in trouble for that, though.
Yeah,
50%. 50%.
yeah.
Supposed to be like,
Is that a Schmitty comment there?
no. I think no. I don't think
No.
Coach Noel like that.
It's a little hard to go 50% when you got Josh Denikus across from you on scout team, isn't it?
And then we'd get in trouble. We'd get in trouble for going 100% and posting me.
Yeah. Loved it. I loved it. You're right, buddy.
You'd be
You're
back
right.
there egging them on in the back, and Coach Noel would be up chewing their butts.
All he'd say is when you're, doing your teamwork before practice in there. Oh, you sons of bitches better be your nasty assholes out there. That's all we ever heard is you had to be nasty assholes.
We needed nasty assholes, didn't we, buddy?
What did we call that before practice?
Lombardi time.
Lombardi
Yeah.
time.
Time. Yep.
We shared some.
That should be renamed.
That's when we
by
and we
now.
still do, by the way. We share some amazing stories during Lombardi time.
Monty,
Amazing.
do you know how good those stories that became?
Oh,
I can't imagine.
oh my gosh! But you want to know something? I learned a lot of things about you boys during Lombardi
sure
time.
you
So hey, when you were doing O-line days, was Coach running the shoot or was Berkey running the shoot over there on the
That
Lombardi
would have been
time?
right in that transition.
Oh,
They-
it was, Postman was still running it most of the time. 'cause
Do you still have that shoot?
Yeah. It's
That
it might be the next one after that. We don't use it no more.
Really?
We had Postman, we had Berkey, and then this year we had Grant.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
And it was always who could get through first. Race.
Right.
Whoever
Yeah.
hit their head, they had to go back and do it again.
Right.
We did them things. Oh my gosh! I thought we were going to have drops.
I just
Can't
remember
believe it stayed
remember
together.
looking down there during Lombardi, and all I could hear was set go, set go, set go, set go, set go, set go. It was that fast. And also every once in a while I hear ding ding, helmets hitting the helmets.
And we would have race. I would get right down on the end, and whoever would win it, then they could sit out. And
Yeah.
That was a nice thing about being from George. We didn't have to go right away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
And we drugged coming out of the locker room.
Yeah, the bus door's stuck again. Damn it.
Oh, we couldn't do that. Roseberry was driving.
You were too busy breaking up fights with with Josh Denikus on the bus.
I don't even think he used the clutch. He just rammed him in there. The faster we got there, he could get off.
I know as coaches, we had him on,
Yep.
earlier, a few weeks ago or whatever. But I hope you kids realize, as much as I realized as a coach, and I know Toby did too, how lucky we were to have him on our staff.
Yeah.
Oh man,
What a great
Huge.
guy for everybody to bring together for CL and GLR to come together.
I learned a lot of good stuff from
Yeah.
that dude, man. I
Yep.
tell you.
I got a story about Coach Roseberry. We were sophomores, and the freshman class is in there. And if you guys remember Jeremy Jagger from Dune,
yeah.
he always wore camouflage pants.
Yeah.
And it was the day it was, I don't know, something wasn't going real well.
G.I.
And
Jeremy.
and all of a sudden, Coach Roseberry was like, "Hey, Jeremy." And he looks at him and goes, "What?" He goes,
He would be a little louder than that,
"Yeah."
though.
He's
right?
like, "Where's your legs?" And Jeremy just looked at him like, "What do you mean, where's my legs?" He's like, "You you got camouflage pants? I can't see your legs. And we all stared because it was a kind of a tense moment, and he just made it, just made everybody laugh. It was like, oh.
And you didn't get many of them with Coach Roseberry.
Very few. Because you're like, oh, he's going to kill this kid. He's going to make him run, and then he just did that, and we were all good.
Can't see your legs.
He was a great coach on our staff. That's all I know.
George was paired with Boyden Hall or
Yeah,
Boydenford before, and that was kind of a little bit salty with him yet.
He was the head coach for him.
Yeah, but they kind of dropped George off that whole
Boyden Hall
deal.
dropped
It
him.
was an ugly split.
Right, it was very ugly,
Yeah.
and he was pissed about it, I think.
Yeah, he was. Coach Null talked to him shortly after that, and he was all on board with it.
Really?
Yep.
They dropped my 8th grade year because I did not have to go down to Hall.
Right.
Yeah.
We came over here.
So
That's
what happened there? I mean, I don't know if it's off subject.
There were some things that over the years Boyden Hall didn't want to do. And one of them was they did not want to play games or practice in Little Rock. That was a big deal. And I think they were looking for a reason back in the day. I know I heard Coach Roseberry and Coach Null talk about it several times, and it didn't take Coach Roseberry to realize that was the best thing in the world.
Right.
And I think he said that at our last
Yeah, he did.
podcast. It was a win-win for GLR and Central
yeah.
Iowa.
I just remember him being
I think that was a lot of it. A lot of
getting
petty
in front
stuff.
of everybody and the football players and saying something about, he was.
Yeah.
They shit on us and
Yeah.
pissed off,
Yeah.
and just kind of something to that effect.
Yeah, and I think that things were already a little bit in the works with Rock Valley, so I think they were just looking for a reason.
Right.
And they found some pretty petty stuff.
Well, good for them.
Yeah. And if they're out there listening, come see me. We'll have a discussion about it.
Rock River Brewery, Rock Rapids, right now.
Yeah. It's okay. Scared to play us, We all know that, don't we, Curtis and Jeff?
We do know that.
Yeah, they're scared to play us.
I agree.
They don't even put us down. They're so scared of us.
I hear you.
Okay, it's on the record, dudes.
All right.
All right. Move on.
Move on.
All right, move on to game 3. Sioux Center, dogfight of a game, end up kicking a field goal in OT to get the win. So
I read in the article, we sent 2 captains out there, Adam Grant, and who was the other one? Was it Sean?
Sean Olson.
Okay, I thought maybe we'd come up with that other captain, but
There's your 4th.
we won the flip.
Was it Adam?
I don't remember this
Adam
game
Grant.
anymore.
Well,
It
he
had
went
to have
out
been.
there.
Adam
Yeah,
Grant,
yeah,
Adam
it
Grant,
was- it
Sean
was-
Olson, and Ray, and
So
who else?
then it was Adam.
That's only. I think that's
Oh,
the 3 Ray
and was
said.
the 3 we already had.
Yeah.
So whatever.
You say Sean, classic example of one of those kids that, when he came over here, everybody's saying, oh, he's basketball. He was one studly football player for us on both sides of the football. He really was.
Absolutely.
His final stats say he had 13 catches for average, I think, over 20 yards a catch. But when you read these articles, you'd swear he had about 30 catches. God, he must have had a lot of really key catches. Yeah.
In this article, it says that Josh Clausen stepping in as the quarterback for the injured Nick Nelson.
Yeah.
So Nick must have got hurt.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
I
but
I don't remember
Don't
that
either.
think it was the other way around, wasn't it?
early on it was.
Early on it
Sioux
was.
Center.
I think there was I thought it was a mixture for, like you say, about half the season probably, or close to, maybe, I don't know.
I don't know
You'd
for
know.
sure either. I don't remember at all. But
Actually-
I know Nick started, and I don't know what happened to Nick, but yeah, because it says in
Didn't he
here that
hurt
Nick
his
started
ankle or
because
something?
Josh hurt his knee, re-aggravated his knee. And
He just made a horrible pitch there I was watching, too. Nick did. Should be sitting on the sidelines watching.
Maybe he's listening.
I'm not a bit, I love Nick to death, but I'm not a big fan of left-handed quarterbacks. Sorry, buddy.
Big stick.
You said, Sean, had a lot of catches and, 23, 22 yards catch or whatever. I was telling Monty earlier, it's like, back in the day when, you didn't throw a whole hell of a lot, but we should have thrown a lot because,
Right.
Yeah.
Sean
Yeah.
Paul
had
Barron.
23, 24 yards.
Monty,
Carry.
we had
Monty
some-
had
we had some-
25, and
we had some-
Sean was 17.
Yeah, we had some big targets.
Yep, but, it's just smash mouth football,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you look
And
at
we
those
were
numbers, we did run the ball very well.
We
too.
did,
Right.
absolutely.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, as we progressed through this schedule, we were becoming a really good team, and we're not even near our peak yet.
Do you remember any of the names from Sioux Center?
Well, Steve Punt he was their big offensive, defensive tackle.
I don't remember what.
Jansen.
During college, when I was at Northwestern, I worked construction in Sioux Center, and I gave shit to the center because I worked with that guy. We talked about that quite a bit. That he's the one that fumbled the snap. So I had to remind you of that one.
There was a stretch there, including this year for sure, there was a lot of tough games against Sioux Center.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Was this Jimmy Johnson's era then?
I think it was. Yeah. Yep.
Jimmy the Jet.
Jimmy the Jet.
Yeah.
Yep. And Paul hit a field goal for us to win.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You look at that, and we got down 14-0 right away.
Yeah.
You know, a couple big plays and like that, and afterwards, defense really stepped it up, and the offense made some key touchdowns. And
So I think they won up 14-0 in the first quarter. You guys scored 2 touchdowns in the second quarter.
Yep.
Right.
And third and fourth were just 14-14.
Back and forth.
So it was just a back.
We were just trading blows back and forth. Just go, go, go.
Yep.
And we're pretty. Was that overtime rule always in effect at that point in time? 10-yard
Yeah.
line. Okay.
He's gone. Yeah.
That's the first time I remember going into overtime for quite a few years. How that whole transpired, but worked great.
Yeah.
It's Adam Grant had 10 tackles. Ray Johnson had 10 tackles. Adam Boone had 8. Eric Eben had 8. So we did have 3 turnovers, 3 interceptions, and we had 3 interceptions and 2 fumbles lost in that game.
Jeg's sitting over there right now. The next year after we played these guys, my first year as head coach, we had 7 turnovers against Sioux Center. So there's trouble against Sioux Center the last 2 years with turnovers.
But it's a good win. Moved us on to game 4 against Rock Valley Boyd Hall. End up beating them 22-14. Again.
Yeah, like I said before, I think this is the game that, to me, I think we jumped out to an early lead. And I think we did. As I look back, you look at the stats and everything like that. To me, it's like, part of our problem maybe, early on especially was maybe playing to the level of our competition, and I look at that, we jumped out to an early lead and then we kind of maybe sat back a little bit, and because that's a game I think we were expected to win by more than that. And to me, I think that's the game that left us out of the playoffs. But
when it was just Rock Valley, still is when we do play. That was a tough rivalry, more back in those days than today, because we got different class sizes and all that. But that was a big rivalry game as well, big one.
One of those examples, especially you Dune guys. I'm sure you knew a lot of those guys pretty close on that that team.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, it was closer to Rock Valley than it was to Rock Rapids from
yeah,
Dune.
Exactly.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And I think that's one of the teams that you don't look at very much, but. They actually passed for quite a few yards, I think, that game, and, that wasn't the norm.
Right.
If I remember back, it was more 4 yards than a cloud of dust.
And
that's
it was Boyden Hall with them at this time then, too, wasn't it?
Was it?
Was,
Yep. That had just started.
Yeah, that's the game that's on the screen right now we're watching here, and it's a lot of throwing. A lot of throwing on that.
Well, yeah.
Well, they had to because they couldn't run on us.
Yeah, you're right.
Our defense was tough all year.
Yeah, they were good.
It really was.
I'm going to pick on myself, but I'm pretty sure I think our grass was a little too long that game, because I think Monday or Tuesday in practice we were practicing, and I intercepted the ball, and Dick ran over to me and said, "Oh, sit down, sit down." I was like, "What the hell?" I said, "Sit down." So he wiped off my cleats and says, "Well, I don't want you to slip anymore." And I looked back and was like, yeah, I was all over the field, slipping all over my So that might have been part of the problem with the yardage. So.
Might be.
Well, that was pretty big of you there.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm human.
That's good. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle.
Yep.
Oh, Schmitty would say.
We don't fall down around here. Schmitty would say.
Shuffle,
We don't
shuffle,
slip.
shuffle.
You guys look like a flock of ducks. That's what he always used to say too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Moving on to Game 5, the West Lyon game. Again, just a back and forth game. West Lyon ended up scoring on an out route to Keith Vandenbosch to go up 6-0, and I think they stopped us
Twice, I think, inside like the 10-yard line.
Yep.
We stopped ourselves, whatever, I'm not
right,
sure.
Yeah,
But
shot ourselves in the foot. And
I'm pretty sure the better team didn't win. Easy to say, and I think that's one of the reasons it really made us so sick about not making
Yep,
playoffs. Because
having that rematch.
I think we all knew that we were going to win that next
Everybody
game.
was totally pointed towards that rematch.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
I remember that bus ride back after that game.
Exactly.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
You know, and
Quiet.
that's quiet, and then we were getting right into Rock Rapids. And then I remember that's when Dick stood up and said, "This is my last year, and we're going to come back and we're going to beat these guys."
Yep.
Yeah.
And there was no doubt in everybody's mind that was
Right.
going to happen
Yeah,
that
right.
way.
And you know
Yeah.
what I thought when he said that? Bullshit. He said this before.
First time we
That's
heard
the truth.
it.
That's the truth.
That's
That's
the first time
truth.
we heard it. At
Yeah.
play.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. But when the hammer did drop that it was, it's like, oh
Right.
God,
Holy shit.
that's a memory I'll never forget.
But yeah, we all have so much utmost respect for Coach
Oh,
No. When he said that, you just took it as the gospel that
yeah.
that was what was going to happen.
Absolutely.
That was going to happen.
Yep.
So Dwayne, obviously, he said that on the bus that night to this group of guys. But when did he actually? Did he never told the coaching staff before that he was going to be done?
I don't remember ever hearing that.
He never indicated
And I don't
that
think.
year or any year.
And I don't think any of us. I don't think any of us coaches, even when he said that, really
No.
thought it was going to happen. We just knew that we were going to win.
Yep.
We didn't know that was going to. We didn't think he was going to just retire. after.
I forget, Curtis, if he told us that night before we went home, Toby, or was it when he did? I was so pissed off. I didn't talk to that guy for days. I was so pissed off. I said, we got the best damn fullback in the state of Iowa, and he's coming back, and you got 199 wins, and you're going to do this? You're crazy, man. No.
Yep.
But he had some health problems that we didn't know about.
Right.
You know,
Yep.
he knew right where he was at. He always did. You know. I was pissed though. God, I was pissed. God.
He got
I wanted that 200. No, he didn't.
Absolutely.
never did.
No.
Really?
Nope, he didn't.
Oofta.
No. That was my
Well,
immediate
that's our fault,
reaction.
I guess.
It kind of falls on us.
Yeah.
It does fall on us.
We had 2 losses that year.
Try to go to sleep tonight without him.
Yeah. Thought I was going to slip. Well, I better have another beer.
Yeah, I didn't realize that he retired with 199 wins until I looked back. I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. He made it pretty well known that he did not want to leave the cupboards bare for the next guy.
Right.
That was a big deal for Coach. It was a big deal, and he didn't.
No.
The cupboards were full.
They were.
We were.
Well,
it was a good
next
time.
year.
These guys set the table for us.
Yes, they did.
They did.
They totally did.
That next class after us they had a lot of talent.
Yeah.
Right.
Even Nick Nelson, Justin Boovie.
We'd
Yep.
come off that
All them guys.
championship game or that runner-up team of '91.
Yep.
Come back with a tough losing year. And then the next year, was that when we lost Troy? We ended up 5-4.
Yep.
5-4.
Yep.
Yeah, very
Troy,
emotional.
Yeah.
Yeah, Troy
Yep.
was, very highly
Yes.
emotional. This was the beginning of an incredible stretch of CLGLR
Yep.
football.
It was.
Amazing, amazing. Yeah.
You know, and the playoffs were much different under Dick at the time. I think, but Jeff was saying, we were talking about Dick only made the playoffs 5 times.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Really.
Yep.
He won it twice.
Yeah.
Of the
Really?
5.
We went from your years
Yep.
till '88 was the next time
Yep.
they won it. Made it
Had,
the playoffs.
had some pretty decent teams in the
Yeah.
80s. Never a losing year, nothing like that.
Yep.
I mean,
But we
obviously,
couldn't get
it's
over the
different than
hump.
today where half the teams in
Yeah.
the district make
Yeah.
the playoffs
Right.
and things
Yeah,
like that.
those
So-
teams would have almost all made playoffs. Yeah, by today's
Yeah.
standards. Yeah.
but,
I don't know that we would have done much, but yeah. it was-
But a situation like these guys, they would have been a high seed in today's,
Yes.
Yep.
rotate the way it goes, or the last 8 years it's gone or whatever.
But it's just one of those things as you go through and you realize, but it's, like you said, this year, 7-2, and then carried on through the rest of the 90s. It was an incredible
He
run.
finished, it's in here somewhere, I read it. He finished, I didn't realize it, but he had a 10-3 playoff record.
Dick did.
Yeah. That's pretty damn good. Yeah.
2 of those years that undefeated, obviously, it's 2 state championships. And
Right.
91 team that.
This team and the 75 team would have done some damage.
Were the two that just
Yeah.
got nicked out of the playoffs, yeah.
The 87 team was pretty good too. That didn't make it. Not as good as you guys though. They weren't. Of course, then it wasn't George Little Rock either, so that made a lot of difference at that time.
But moving on to Game 6, I watched this game today a little bit once we got all the videos. One thing I think our listeners need to know that we did upload all but the Lamar's game of thanks to Ray for the videotapes, and but all the games from the '94 season are up on our YouTube channel, CLGLR Football. If you search that, you'll see that. And you go to playlist, and every season that we've done so far, the games are on from that year. So very helpful. So pretty cool to go back and watch.
You tell me. I can't see it, and Jagger would be better at telling you this than I. There are not too many schools in the state of Iowa that have more football games on YouTube than Central Line George Little Rock. Right. I find it hard to believe. You go on there and start looking some night. I've spent many a night where all of a sudden it's 1:30 at night and I'm like, watching this game. I better go to bed.
The black hole of YouTube.
Yeah.
But so anyway, like I said, again, we got them all uploaded. I'll get those back to your mom, Ray. So, but they're on YouTube. But I'll get those VHSs back to your
They've
mom.
lasted 30-some years, so they might last a little longer. I don't know.
I would seriously think about doing something else with them because
they're on YouTube.
They're
out there forever.
They're there forever.
Monty, they stayed in the garage for over 30 years and went through the freezing cold cycles, and they still work. So hey, I guess.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie, Ray. We put them in the VCR today yesterday, and we're rewinding it, and I'm like, oh, please don't break, because you don't.
So I'm watching some of these tapes to get and this VHS or whatever, and I'm watching them, and then I flipped in to see who some of the other tackles later on that were. I'm like, in the 2000s, I'm like, my God, it's like 4K. It's like 4K compared to watching this stuff. Yeah, it's like you're there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh man.
I know. I was trying to watch them earlier too, and you're trying to struggle with starting line. I was like, I can't even read the damn numbers.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh.
I blame that on age, Scott. I blame that on age. You can't read.
Readers.
I'm like, okay,
Get yourself some readers.
I'm like, okay, let's watch the West Lion one because I know it's early in the year. You might be able to see a little bit better there.
No, when I found them, I shoved the one tape in, and it worked. I was like, I better put the other one and see if that works. Well, VCR wouldn't accept the other tape. I'm like, oh,
I'm
better not put
surprised.
that back in.
I'm surprised you still have a VCR.
Well, we don't
good for
anymore.
you.
It's still sitting on the shelf. It doesn't work anymore. A lot of kids probably don't even know what a VCR is.
Right.
No.
Yeah. Here's one of those games too that I mentioned earlier. You look at penalties, 13 for 114 yards. It's one of those games where, same thing that we look back at, and it's just like maybe a little undisciplined at times with the competition that we're playing.
Are you talking about the Sheldon game?
Yeah, the Sheldon game.
So the homecoming game.
Oh, that was always.
No. The Sheldon is the homecoming game.
Okay.
That year.
Dick always hated homecoming.
Oh, he did. With a
Boy,
passion.
but I know after watching it, I know why he hated it. Holy, you guys didn't play very good.
114 yards and penalties, and how many turnovers?
How many turnovers? You had it was an ugly game. 4 turnovers. 4 turnovers.
5.
For years, there was a problem we had in Sheldon. Every time we play at Sheldon.
Yeah. It was a jinxie kind of thing. It was kind of weird. But
One of Brent Benegay's years there, we had one, and
I
a few
think
of
we're
those.
also in a time where there was a lot more activity with homecoming too. It seemed like
Right.
just a whole bunch more stuff.
Get your
was
mind off
going
it.
on.
Oh,
powder
but Coach
puff,
Knoll, Coach Knoll could not stand homecoming. And he made no bones about how much he couldn't stand homecoming either.
He said that too. I remember that.
I'm pretty sure we were coaching powder puff at that point
Yeah,
in time
there's-
on Friday afternoon.
that was part of it.
And
Yeah.
probably.
Did we still have the parade then yet too?
No.
Maybe not then.
I don't
No,
know. Not our senior
never
year.
had-
It was sometime in there. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, but whatever. But
Dick's quoted in the paper saying here, you got to feel good when you win 39-13, but I didn't feel we were very intense or very focused, said Coach Dick Knoll. With all the things going on in homecoming, it's just tough to keep your mind just on football. And I think that's hold on, but also, we talked about mental toughness, earlier. It says Ray Johnson was limited because he had a bruise on his leg.
Bruce thigh.
Oh, my knee.
Was it knee?
Little boo.
No,
sure?
it wasn't, it wasn't what you guys are thinking, for shit's sakes. I'd only wish.
So it was worse than what the paper saying, right?
Yeah, it was actually a true injury.
Okay.
Is it pain or is it injury?
Well, yeah, it was pain, not an injury.
Pain or is it injury? I remember that statement a lot.
Yeah,
Coach,
you
as
can
long-
play with pain, but you can't play with injury.
as long as we're on kind of a light moment, I want to put this out there and see if I get a response or whatever. These days were back in the day when smoking was kind of allowed. I mean, by coaches.
Maybe not allowed. Oh,
There's
my
always,
God.
You
there was
mean behind the
always
bus?
there was always a rumor, especially when we played Rock Valley. Coach Knoll, Coach Schmidt, it's a well-known fact they smoked,
A lot.
and they could not wait to get off the bus to have a cigarette.
And then also at halftime.
Yes. And when we played back in the day with Les Hansen and Dave Mylink, when we played them guys, there was 4 of them all together behind the bus, just like teenagers. But there was always a rumor that Paul Denikus tried to get as close to them as he could to get a whiff, just a whiff of the secondhand smoke. Is there any truth to that at all? Like in the back of the bus with the window open, sticking your head out the window or something like that? Honestly.
There was always a time we always had to go ask him at least one question.
Oh,
And Paul just volunteered to ask all the questions.
I got this, guys. I got this. That a boy. Holy smokes. That's a smart hogger, I'm here to tell you. That a boy. Okay, well, I wanted to ask you, and
I don't think I was the only one.
No.
Probably not.
I think every year there was always somebody.
Yeah.
know.
There's some truth to that, I'm sure, yeah.
So this happened to be my year.
He took one for the team.
Thank you for your honesty.
Yes.
It was very smart, very heads up of you. Yeah.
If they were still here, I'd be standing behind the bus with them now.
Do you need to take a break right now? Or
No, I'm good.
do we need to call a 20-second?
Do you remember back when you guys were like sophomores and you were practicing on game nights? You'd see Coach Snow drive by in that old pickup about 20 times with a cigarette in his mouth, shaking, and come back around, and a couple minutes later, he still got it every time. Just for like 3 hours before the game started, he'd be out there.
During my time of knowing Coach Knoll, he went through 3 pickups that way. I think he put on about 50,000 miles on each pickup because it was all in town.
Yep.
And they had a reek of cigarette smoke, something fiercely. But yeah, he was always that pickup ride, boy. Yeah.
You got to wonder if he ever burnt his fingers while he's doing this.
Yeah, I don't know. Cigarettes and Pepsi. That's what he always had.
Yep.
So the homecoming game, we talk about turnovers. Clausen went down with he re-injured his knee. I think this is the last game that he actually played in, had surgery. After that, that was kind of the season-ending injury for Josh Clausen. And then, but Nick was coming off a sprained ankle, obviously the game from before, stepped in and played a big role to get this win. One thing, it's funny reading these articles today. There's a section in here that said, the crowd was entertained at half by the Central Lyon Band under the direction of Tom Gasper. Special guests included the Superman, the Darth Vader, Wilma and Fred Flintstone, and of course the Lion King. and you wonder why Homecoming was a distraction.
Yeah, you got that right. Wow.
Oh yeah, and then it says Ray Johnson set out because of a bruised leg.
I was icing it.
All right.
You know,
love it. I love it.
It's not by choice, I said. Not by choice.
Okay.
He's kind of poking fun at you.
No, I don't know.
My gloves are off. Take them off.
You know what? You think he'd have more respect for the elders around
Right.
here.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's running around fourth or fifth grade. He's running around.
Those little snot-nosed punks these days, I tell you what, no respect.
If you'd have known that back then, you'd have kicked some ass, wouldn't you?
I'd have put my ice bag away and went back and played.
You know, you were saying, Josh, that was hard because as good as RJ was, he was he was a young sophomore.
young, yeah.
Having to play both ways. Josh was good.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah,
very
I remember
good.
that dude. He had
Hands.
like a
Big.
grizzly bear.
Man,
He would grab people, but he was tough, and it was a big loss losing him at that point. It really was.
Steady,
Yeah.
good influence, just a great kid.
Very emotional guy.
Yeah.
He was very quiet. He was like a silent.
Yeah, he
just
was.
a silent leader.
Yeah, he
was,
was.
but-
He definitely was.
Yeah, that was a big loss at the
Yeah, it
time.
was.
It really was.
Yeah, that's right. And we were at that point we were lucky that RJ was as good a
Right.
linebacker as he was from a depth standpoint, very much.
Yeah, just watching tape and Craig Weenie at center, and
Yeah.
it is like identical to Braden.
Yeah.
It
Oh,
makes
I can
me.
imagine.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's like
Remember Craig
two
running up to
peas.
I really wanted to get it in tonight. Our offensive line progressed as the year went on, really, really, really well, and he probably led the way with that. He really ended up having a good year. He progressed well. He really did, and he wasn't
player.
gifted with a lot of natural ability, but he was so coachable, and he was Mr. Central Line George Little Rock.
Right.
I'll tell you what.
Funny story. So Casey Grafing is back from the military, and he's living up in Michigan somewhere. And and I text him. I said, "Hey, we're gonna have this little podcast. You want to?" He's like, "Oh, blah blah blah," and talked about something. He's like, "Oh, Craig Weenie is gonna be there, and is he gonna tell me something about how we could pronounce huddle?"
It was so funny.
It was. He just. It was good. It was
Very hard to duplicate. 'cause
right.
It was
And you know
unique.
what? That's a memory. That's a great.
The one that
memory.
probably duplicated the most was this kid when he played.
Yeah,
you're right.
By golly, that's right. Yeah.
We're gonna say huddle 3 times before supper tonight.
Make sure your mouthpiece is still in.
Yeah, he did a good job.
Yeah, he was good.
Again, total domination of this game. CLGLR 21 first downs. Sheldon had 9. Total offense 441 yards for CLGLR and to Sheldon's 163. Again, one thing watching tape, Adam Grant really surprised me at tailback. He was a tough dude.
Adam Grant was a tough kid. He was a
Without a
good
doubt.
athlete.
I'm kind of
Wasn't he?
surprised he was 153 pounds.
Yeah.
I thought he was bigger than that. He was
Oh,
always bigger
I
than
would've-
me.
I would
but-
have guessed him bigger too.
He
Scott.
wasn't raised on the farm, was he?
No.
No.
But he saved the farm.
Yeah, he saved 5. In Hank's mind, he did.
That's an old
Hey,
insider.
he protected it more than saved it.
Adam always had just brute strength,
Yeah.
natural strength.
You know, he wasn't fast. He wasn't the best athlete, but he was good.
tough.
Ray just got an in.
I just got a text from Craig,
I-
which he's listening in Mexico. He's on.
Mexico.
I can't say the first word he
Starts
put in
with
here.
F.
Starts with F.
Starts
and
with F, ends with K.
And it says, "All of you, it's huddle."
Hey, Craig. Hey, buddy.
A great memory, Craig. A great memory that we have of you.
That's awesome.
Oh, that was so fun. Oh my God, we had fun the way you did that, didn't we? Oh my God.
He'd say that and everybody would go, what? Sorry. Sorry, Craig.
Hold up.
I'm not sorry. You're sitting in Mexico and we're at a podcast. In
He
Rock
could be
Rapids.
here.
Yeah,
He
right.
could be here, yeah.
Right, so I don't feel sorry for you.
Boy, Craig.
Anyway. Sorry.
Moving on. We'll move on to Game 7. This was a kicking 54-8 over Sibley. I don't know if there's a lot of memories that were made in this game.
There is one memory.
There is.
Okay,
There
here we go.
is.
Yes, I like this.
It was the biggest ass chewing we probably got. The first drive, I remember, and you guys can chirp in here, but again, Sibley not very good. But I think the first 4 plays, they had 4 first downs. Dick came out and chewed our ass. I think a play or 2 after that, there was a turnover, and that was it. But we just kind of, again, I just remember Dick coming out, and it wasn't Schmitty this time. It was Dick coming out. He was not happy.
I think this was the only game that we actually got to come out after halftime. And the second string and the JV and other guys went in.
Oh, so you didn't play the second half?
No,
Right.
because this was the only game that I actually got to play with my brother.
Oh,
I had to
cool.
beg. I had to beg Postma to.
I remember that.
Really?
I was like, I just want
Right.
one play. He goes, damn it, you got one play. Go out there. I went out there and I took the damn handoff from Sibley. Went down. Went down.
On defense?
I was on defense. I played one defense. I took the dang handoff.
And now I'm officially in trouble for putting him in the game.
No. But I got one play. He says, you get that play and you get off the field. One play that I got to play with my brother. But it was fun.
Attaboy.
That was
There's
our
not
guy.
too many people that get to make
And that,
play
and,
with their
and
brother.
It, and it was obviously a good memory for him.
Yeah.
That's right. Yep. It was worth it. It was worth the butt chewing that I got for doing it.
Moving on, as we go through, obviously that game was about as ugly as it gets. But
Not as ugly as the next one. Well,
yeah, the next game,
next game was fun.
it was
Okoboji,
again-
didn't we set records in Okoboji?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, you did.
We did.
Record still holds this day, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. 36-0 though. It wasn't like score-wise was not the lopsided as you think with the yards that were put on.
Well, how many fumble turnovers?
Well, exactly, because I've known that stat for years, looking at stats and stuff like that. It's like, how did we only score 36 points putting up that many
I think
yards?
Coach Null was being nice.
No.
The stat we're talking about is CLGLR put up 594 yards of offense.
Yes.
I think, how many did Roger Meyer have that game?
Well,
156 or something.
152.
Really?
Roger had 152.
Piled up.
Terry had 108. Grant had 77. So, yeah.
there's a lot of guys that put a lot of yards up, but again, that's another one of those games.
Coach Terry, do you remember the name of the Okoboji coach back then? Him and Coach Null were close friends. Really close friends, and I think that had a little bit to do with it. Whatever. Doesn't matter, but we kicked their butts.
Mark work.
No, he might have been it. Then the one I'm thinking of was probably before, but Marquardt was one of them. Yeah.
He had
Never
a kid,
mind.
He had a kid in that game.
Yeah.
He went off the field. They dragged
so
him
then
off
it
the
was
field.
then it was Marquardt. Yeah. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, that was a fun game for us.
That was.
Yeah, a record that still holds this day yet with that total, and we'll talk about that at the end of the podcast as we go along here. Going into Game 9. Like I said earlier, we're talking about this, a big game, because at that time, you guys needed the 13 points. You needed in order to even have a chance at making the playoffs. And to go, was that at MOC or was that
No,
home?
it was at
It was at home. The final regular season game. 6-1 in district play. Only lost to West Line, but again, and went in there and got her done.
I'm looking for it here a little bit, but didn't they miss an extra point that would have put it to 12?
Yeah.
Or we blocked it or
Their
something?
last touchdown, they missed the extra point to get it to 12. And
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But, I'm looking at the wrong game, I guess. Yeah. Always nice to beat MOC. Back in them days, they had some pretty good. There's some Elbers and
Elbers
DeHaan.
and Nate Moss, and
Nate
they had
Moss
some
and
great,
Danny Jeremy Blum.
Yep, great.
They were.
Yeah, they had some guys that ended
and-
up playing some pretty good college football.
Yeah, and they didn't have hardly many yards at all. And
Look at the stats. First downs 22-9, 377 to 167. We whooped them good, boys.
And that's
Better than the score, probably.
Yeah. You look back throughout all these years, and our season was no different in my mind. The offensive, defensive line and linebackers for defense were just dominant, especially with that kind of skill set in my mind.
Yep.
Just really set the tone for the whole game. And, we never did anything real flashy on offense. We just grinded it out.
Smash mouth football.
I loved it. I loved it for years. That everybody knew what we were going to do. Stop us.
Exactly.
It was as typical CLGLR offensive football as we ever did back in the day.
Yep.
It's very typical.
Like we were talking about earlier, Dick had toyed with Nate Schulte and those guys. He had done some Emmetsburg stuff, and then you guys, maybe as juniors, he might have toyed with little things too. Then Dick thought, screw it. I'm going to do with what I've done for years. And I remember him telling us that. I don't care what everybody's doing. This is what I'm going to do because this is what we've done for years. This is what we feel comfortable with. This is what our kids believe in, and that's why we did it.
We did it very well.
Yeah.
One thing I remember about just this season was how physical we were with that smash mouth football. Is 3 times I had to go into practice on Monday and give my helmet to Grant because he was in there taping people up. I was like, I need a new face mask. Mine's broke again.
Yeah.
And then,
That's right.
I don't know, the concussion protocol. What was that? Was that a headache?
I don't know if there was any concussion protocol.
If
but
you,
I think
if
I
you
played
saw
with a
stars
headache.
and
I
they
think-
went away, you were good.
I know.
if you knew where you were and what day of the week it was. That was
Apparently,
about
Paul must have had a concussion all year because he thought he was
it. Yeah,
playing
he thought he was
guard.
playing guard.
Swear to God I did.
But what I can say with this smash mouth football is being an offensive lineman. When you got a 210-pound fullback behind you, when you open a hole for him and you watch him just mow over a defensive back and keep running with the guy hanging on his leg, you're like,
There's truly no better feeling in football, is there, Ray?
right? You
There really
open a
isn't.
hole, you do your job. He makes that guy look like total shit, dragging him down the field. So.
But
you little guys think it's a big deal. You think it's a big deal prancing around in the end zone and all that bullshit? It ain't nothing compared to what these guys feel when you're hammering the hell out of people. 5 yards, 10 yards, 4 yards, 3 yards, touchdown. Am I right, Paul?
Exactly.
There's no better feeling.
But what's so cool is RJ sat here a year or two ago when the 96 team was and talked about how cool it was of being able to see holes that you guys created that he could just get through too.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it works.
We had to get bigger holes for him because he was a bigger boy.
He was a big man.
Terry, you could just lift your leg up and he'd run underneath
right.
him like a little dog and just cut back and forth and away he'd go.
You're right.
And he danced.
Oh man, that guy he was fun to watch.
Yeah.
He's quick.
I don't remember what game it was. It was like one of the first games he started and played running back. He gets a handoff, fumbles, we get the ball back. And what Coach and always preach in practice, we're going to do it till we get it right.
Yep.
Well, that mentality came out in this game. They called the same play again. Terry gets the ball, fumbles the damn ball. We recover it, get back in the huddle. They bring in the play again, and it's the same play again. And Terry looks up, and I just grabbed him by the face mask. And his eyes got really big, and I said, you only got one job to do here, Terry. He's like, what's that? I said, hold the damn ball. And he broke it for like 40 yards and just gone. And after that, never had another problem.
Yep.
But if anybody could get a hand on him, he would go down quick.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
it would
Yeah,
have
he was
to
a
be-
little guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's all there's to it.
But
Yeah.
shifty, man, that guy could cut.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Got that right.
He was a good addition to the backfield. Yeah, that was good stuff.
So do you guys remember You remember your zone where you guys went before games? Were you in the
The lunchroom.
We were in the
lunchroom?
commons, yeah.
We were up in the
Commons
hallway.
area.
Okay,
Commons.
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 Yep. We were in the commons.
Yep.
Lunchroom, wrestling
Is that still
room.
there? Is that
Yeah,
is that
no,
a fitness
that's
area?
still
now?
there.
That's a fitness center now.
Is it
Yeah.
fitness center now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. See, after you guys got, and then we moved up to the hallways up there.
Okay.
But yeah, it was. Yeah, I remember the lunchroom was.
Right,
was
that's
we
where
had a variety of years in the lunchroom. Yeah.
Have you been up to see the weight room facility? that
No,
whole
I've seen
floor?
it on.
Stop in sometime.
I've seen it on like
I don't want to.
Yeah.
some websites that I've seen it on some websites. I'm like, oh my God, that's my high school.
Yeah, it's
That
incredible.
I know it. It's incredible. I've seen it. Well, you can see it through from the what street is that goes past
Yeah.
there? You can
Story
s-
Street
Story
or-
Street, whatever.
yeah.
You can.
It's
yeah,
incredible.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
and it gets utilized.
That's awesome.
good.
That's great. That is very great.
Scott showed me at one time, I don't know, my oldest was up here playing in a basketball tournament. And he's like, hey, you got to come see the weight room.
Okay,
Hell, I'd have got lost in the damn place. It's so
Yeah.
big.
totally amazing.
You know, all the same color weights, you know, the machines are all the same color. You're like, this is
Yeah.
freaking phenomenal. I was so happy for that, to see that compared to what we used to be in.
And all alumni to equip it.
Yep.
All alumni money.
Really.
Booster Club. Yep, $250,000
Wow.
with a little help from a special CL graduate from way
I know
back
who that
when.
is.
Yep. That would be Dana Dykehouse.
Dana,
I
yep.
like
Thanks,
saying
Dana.
that.
I still always say it at all, you know, those type of things, and I know money-wise, whatever, it's, those type of things were because of the groups before them
Yeah,
that built that,
yeah.
including you guys.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
whether you, whether you never had that room, you know, that room or anything, it's just that tradition is what people
Well-
bought into because of your traditions.
And let's take it a little bit further. How about that weight room that we have over in George Little Rock as well?
Same
Just a
thing, yep.
smaller. It's a considerably smaller scale, but it is top notch.
Yep.
It's top notch.
The thing is,
Same thing.
back then we didn't know any. You didn't know any better.
No,
You know,
no.
this is
it
all
just-
you had. This is
yeah.
what you got to deal
and,
with.
And,
right?
and that's
This
where
is-
everybody was at. There was
that's
nobody
where
above
the-
us that way.
The coaches told you to go. That's where
Yeah.
you needed to go, and yeah, what
Yeah.
you guys have now, it's awesome. It's
Yeah, that's wonderful. It's
is.
cool stuff. But
better,
the
better in your
foundation
basement.
started with you
Remember
guys.
lifting in
Yeah.
your basement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what, like Toby said, it was the foundation was put together around here, back in your time and before.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, no question about it. And here we are now.
You know, just going through that end of the season, and Dick, reading these articles, Dick really, you just tell just by the way he responded to the questions from the paper and the fact of how disgusted he was, and talked about how he felt bad for the kids and all this stuff. But just talking about Dick and 32 years, and I'm just gonna read the little comment that he said here. All the 32 years, Jan never missed a game I coached in, Null said, and she was only late to one, and that was the day after her dad died. You don't coach that long without the support of a crazy woman like that.
And I
And
read
we all know Jan enough to know.
I read an article later on in that same cluster of them there, where she not only was at that with his coaching of games, but she never missed one of his that he played in either. So it goes way
Yeah,
back, all
goes
the
way
way
back. Jan still sends me a
Yeah.
handwritten note.
She follows CLGLR football big
After
time.
every
Big time.
after every season, she sends me a handwritten note.
She's probably
So-
listening, so shout out to
And
Janet.
now we created the Dick Null Scholarship.
Yeah.
And so
Yep.
Sweet.
we've done that now for multiple years, going on 5-6 years now, maybe longer, Toby.
It's been longer.
Oh, yeah.
Longer,
Oh,
longer,
yeah.
Longer. I can't remember.
It's at
Yep.
least 10, 12 years now.
How long
so.
has it been called Dick Null Field?
Oh, that's been quite a while already, too.
Yeah, a long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was it called before that?
A.O. Vogt
A.O.
Field.
Vogt, who was an old superintendent at one time.
Way back.
So
Way,
now,
way back.
Now technically say it's A.O. Vogt Complex Dick Null Field.
Right. Yeah.
But again,
That is pretty much a feather in you guys. I mean, you guys were the last group that played for Coach Null, and Dewey and I, of course, we both coached with him, and you guys knew him really well. He's a football god to me.
Right.
He's
Yeah,
a football god. He's another dad to me. And I'm sure, you guys have feelings like that too.
Oh, yeah.
He's the institution that built this whole thing around here, and it's just cool
did.
that you guys
Yep.
had the opportunity to be the last group that he was able to, immerse into football.
I took in the last play.
Did you?
Yep.
That is really
There's
special.
a picture of, I think, in the reporter.
Trivia
You got
question
that
right
picture?
there.
Do you have that picture still?
I do.
Cherish that, baby. That's nice.
Yep.
And Dick passing was what really brought on this podcast.
Right.
Because, I'm fortunate enough that I've worked with Toby, been part of with Dwayne all these years, and we have these conversations every day of our life, right? Like we talk football every day that we possibly can talk.
Right.
Now we text as much as possible with it. And so that's what brought us on. We're like, if, what Dick would have brought to this podcast just one time. And that's where, that's why the Greg Schmidt, the Kent
The
Roseberry.
Schmitty one. That was
that
was so fun to listen to.
Yeah, that's where it's like, if you played for Schmitty, if you've been part of that, you appreciate that much more. And I think that's what, after Dick passed, it's like there's so much tradition and so much in that guy's mind that was never tapped. And now it can't be tapped,
Right.
And so for us, so now it's like, I'm just a young pup compared to what these guys have for knowledge, and that's why it's so fun with Dwayne and Toby sitting here talking CLGLR football and getting those stories out. And again, and like I said, I'm lucky enough to be part of most of it. I've heard it before at least, and so.
And I just think it's huge that you guys come up with this whole thing. You and Jeff did that. It gets these guys back into the, It's easy when you move away to get out of the swing of, following your team and stuff. But this type of stuff, I know we've talked about. Every group we've had in here has talked about how, obviously we don't all have studs that play. There were kids that played for them here, but it's good for you guys to get back immersed into the football at CLGLR too.
Yeah. Well, when I reflect back on with Coach Null, probably the thing that most impressed me about him as a coach, for me personally, and he did this with guys like Toby and Ed Berkey, some of us that came on as young ones. He wanted to know. He picked our brain what we were thinking, and he would force it out of you almost. Sometimes it wasn't always good. Sometimes there was shouting matches, and that's why sometimes we still have shouting matches on our coaching staff because that's healthy. That we all love each other. It's nothing stupid, But he did that with me, and sometimes we were nose to nose freaking going at it. Not very often, obviously, and we still do that, and that's okay.
Right.
And that's something I really took away from him because he wanted that. He wanted to know what the hell we were thinking, especially with the mindset of the kids as a generational thing. That was a big deal for him. That was really a big deal.
Yep.
So you as a young coach, you really appreciate that.
Right.
You really do. Yeah, he was one of them real special ones.
Well, he had a mindset of smash mouth football.
Yep.
Smash mouth football. Smash mouth. That's all he.
Yep.
And when you get a
did.
younger guy come in there and say, "Hey, maybe we should do a little."
He didn't have that problem with me.
Well, you were all you're the same damn way, but I mean, do
But
a little.
you're
right.
you're exactly right.
Play action, or do establish your run, play action, whatever.
Yeah.
But no,
You're right. Absolutely.
And with the athletes nowadays in high school, with the actual lifting that they can do, I mean, it's amazing what can be accomplished as far as that.
Most of the time, it goes back to what I said at the beginning, that most of the time, the current day kids have all the advantages in comparisons except that huge intangible.
Right.
Mental, kick-ass toughness.
Right.
And that's not to say these kids aren't necessarily, because we get a lot of mentally tough-ass kids.
Right.
More than most. But not like it was one or two or whatever generation.
One thing I remember, me and Ryan Odens, I don't know, you guys all know
Yeah,
Ryan Odens.
yeah.
Me and him were the two smallest little shits on
Yeah,
freshman.
you were a little fart back in the day.
I
yeah.
was. Hank
I
Grant.
was taller than him
He was.
back in the day.
He was.
I remember
Hank
those
Grant,
times.
I remember going to Commons. Hank Grant pointed at me, he goes, 112. 119. He wanted me to wrestle.
That's it.
And that's just what he did. And,
Yeah,
but, yeah, just
that's
the
how he
things-
was.
Yeah, that's how he was. And yeah, it's just crazy.
So as we were talking tonight, did it happen where all of a sudden we started talking about something and it just felt like it was yesterday?
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah,
some of these
absolutely.
games.
Yep.
That's what it's all about.
Right.
That's what the podcast is all about, is dredging up that, getting it going back again.
Yeah.
Right.
Keeping it relevant, like
Exactly,
Kurt
right.
says, keeping it relevant, keeping it part of, you're part of the tradition and
Yep.
being able to relive that a little bit too.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was a shame. Make no mistake about it, dudes. It was an absolute shame. You
That
didn't make
Friday
the
night
playoff.
with Dick chewing ass on the Sioux City Journal on the phone, that was
Were you there to witness it?
Yeah. Yep.
Really.
Sometimes
We were
you,
sitting on his little back porch area there, that little
Yep.
screened-in porch there.
Yeah.
And we were,
Smoking.
No.
sometimes you,
And Paul was right outside the screen, going like this with paper.
like you say,
serious
and I
inhaling.
don't know if you're with him, Monty, or whatever, but I remember this disgusted look, this shell-shocked look on Sean Olson's face at the door, and I
Yeah.
don't know who was with him. If you were
Yeah,
with
I
him, or
think I
whoever.
was. I remember him
When he
coming
just
to
had
the
this-
door and he just shook
had
his
this
head.
look on his face like, you got to be kidding me. We're done playing football,
there's
you
no
know. And I know
kidding.
you guys were all feeling that, you know.
Well, when I found out, Paul actually flagged us down on the loop over here, and he's like, "Did you hear?" I'm like, "What?" He's like, "We didn't make it." I'm like, "Done."
Yeah.
I was so mad.
Oh yeah. I can see it.
Then Emmitsburg came to West Lyon, and I was never more of an Emmitsburg fan
than that night.
than that night.
Yeah.
I hate to be
While
a dick.
standing on the West Line
I
sideline.
hate to be a dick about it, but I was. Sorry.
Yeah, and sometimes, and I've said this a few times before. Thank God, not too many times. But sometimes, you guys as former players, or whether it be really recent or years back, you have to just take it for what it's worth, and it's quite a bit in my mind. That when guys like us sit here and tell you how good you were, you have to accept that,
Right.
because if anybody would know, probably Toby and I would at this point, and the other guys that coached. That's a small consolation, but we were really a good football
Yeah,
team.
we were
at that
rolling,
point.
man. We were rolling.
Yes.
A very legit contender kind of a team. Yeah, no doubt, no question. We were ready for a run. We had it, and Coach
Good
said it in
teams
one of
peak
the
at the
articles.
right time.
Yeah, and he
Yes.
did mention that we were right where we needed to be at that time.
Yeah,
of year.
we were.
Yep.
We were big, we were physical, we were young but not young anymore. You know, we had kind of overcome Josh's injury pretty well.
Yep.
You know, and we were hungry for a rematch with the West Enders, all that, you know. That's the one thing I take away from that season more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
So
That would have been a fun game.
Oh, that would have been a.
It would have been. It would have been.
it
a
would have
little
been
bit-
a great
It would have
game,
been
'cause-
another one of those classics with
Yep.
2,000 people in the game, and
Yep.
you know. Yeah.
One thing, just going through some stats, but Sean Olson must have been a pretty good athlete, huh?
He was.
Oh, he was good.
He was.
Like he must have been a dude.
Yeah.
He was
He
pretty
was.
much.
I,
the dude.
I watched some tape. You know, he played outside linebacker, and he flew around, made some plays, but like
He hit. He was a hard hitting.
yeah.
He would just.
He was.
get it-
He was.
and like to talk a little shit.
Yeah.
He liked to talk smack.
That's what. I
If
mean,
he could
that's-
back it up, it's okay.
Yeah, he could. He could back it
But
up.
that was a classic example. We've had a lot of them. He came in. Everybody billed him as this basketball player. Oh, he's just a basketball player. Just a basketball player. He was a football player that played basketball.
Yeah,
Correct.
absolutely.
That team was filled with characters.
Actually, I think
Oh, dang it.
I think he went to Northwestern
Yeah.
and played basketball.
No.
But the football coaches wanted him to play football too when he was there.
Right.
Sure.
Didn't George go pretty far in state in basketball that year? Because they had Barons and Enner, Sean Olson, and man, they were stacked.
They were, but I don't think they went.
I think they got close. I don't know if they actually went to state. I don't
No,
remember
they
either.
didn't go to state.
No.
But
They beat MLC, and MLC was the
the team.
Yeah.
Sean was a dude though.
He was a dude.
I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the season-ending stats. Team rush for 2,358 yards. Roger Meyer had 956 yards. Adam Grant had 503 yards on the year. Team had 31 receptions for 565. Sean Olson had 13 for 316, 24.3 yard average. The team averaged 335 yards of offense per game with 27.8 points per game with that. Defensively gave up 116 points for the season, or 12.9 per game. Led in tackles by Ray Johnson with 89, Sean Olson with 58, then Adam Grant with 47, and Josh Denick with 46. Sean Olson led the team in interceptions with 3. Eric Eben led the team in fumble recoveries with 3. Talk a little bit about the all-district players. Again, first team all-district offense was Adam Grant and Ray Johnson. First team defense was Paul Behrens, Sean Olson, Scott Postma, and then the kicker was Paul Behrens also. Second team was Roger Meyer and Nick Nelson. Honorable mention was Adam Boone and Paul Denikis. School records. Broke the single game offensive record with 594 against Okoboji. That still stands to this day. Broke the single game rushing record with 498 against Okoboji. That does not stand, but at that time was a record. And so
that all conference was bowl at that point.
Yeah.
I lived through a few of those after that. It was basically Sioux County voting against Lyon County, so it was West Lyon and Central Lyon. So there's a lot of Central Lyon guys Central Lyon George Little Rock guys that should have got on that that weren't, because there was so many Sioux County schools in that conference.
You know, Adam Boone's actually one of those guys that you said earlier that, you know, he didn't start, but one of those players
came on
that
like
crazy.
Yep.
Was a hell of an athlete.
He's one of them
good.
that dabbles
Sneaky good.
around the Mount Rushmore stuff. He was
Super
one strong, tough,
God, he
smart
was strong.
dude.
Smart as could be, smart of the whip.
Did Adam end up playing quite a bit of DT?
I believe so.
Yeah.
He did.
Yep.
Yep.
And didn't start, but, you know, just
A role player.
He was a small version of a Gabe Schulte type. He just, if he had another 30 pounds like Gabe, he would have been as good as Gabe.
Yep.
Sure.
You know, literally, he was that strong
He
and
just came in, did his job.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Now, I don't remember, did Josh Denikas play linebacker after Josh Clausen got hurt? Is that what?
Roger Meyer
did.
played linebacker.
Okay, was Josh playing linebacker that year? Or?
Josh played
Yes.
linebacker,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah, he switched his
Because
next
I switched him the next year, and he about killed me for switching him. But literally about killed me, but we won't get into that.
But I think today he appreciates it today.
Yeah.
I really do believe that. Good kid, tough kid,
You know,
hard-nosed kid, but a good kid.
Rob, like Ray and Paul played the right side, but Warren Cheese and Driscoll played the left side.
Yeah.
Played pretty good football.
Yeah.
Another offensive line. We didn't talk a lot about those guys and the fact of but again as the games went, maturity and experience went, the offensive line again with those guys.
Classic example of what we use this phrase a lot. He's here. Justin Driscoll was a program kid.
Yep.
He wanted to play football. He did what it took to play football. He moved positions to do it. There he is.
Yep.
He's a program kid, a CLGLR program kid.
And by the end of the season, we didn't have a strong side or a weak
Right.
side.
No,
It
you're
was
right.
equal. It
You're
was
right.
equal. We called each side, and we knew we were going
It
to
was a
gain
very,
yards.
very good
Felt totally
offensive
comfortable
line.
going either ways.
And then you throw my big thing, particularly in those days, was we were dominant running the ball because of an inside five, but when we had tight ends, we were really kick-ass dominant running the ball. That was the key, kind of like we are today with the H-backs.
That was so scary when you'd see Paul Behrens catch
absolutely.
that bootleg across the middle, and there's these
was
little DBs are looking at
was
him
a
like, I got to
monster.
tackle him.
I'm glad I never had to tackle that guy.
Oh, my God.
I remember a tackling drill that I had to. This was like my sophomore year. I got paired up against Paul Behrens. I just dove for his toes, and now
And
I got him down too.
And do you guys remember then too when Paul Behrens and Russell Enner were together? How crazy nuts they
Oh
were.
man.
They were a pair of Looney Tunes, big bastards.
Paul's
They were-
over
they
here.
were
Paul's
nuts.
over here shaking his head. He knows.
Oh my God! It was like two of the Three Stooges. It was. Them guys were nuts.
It was all Three Stooges wrapped into
Wrapped
two.
into two.
I remember them coming on the bus one time, and they all had pacifiers or something in there. Everyone's like, "What the are you doing?" Sure, yeah.
Oh, they were out there.
Oh man. Yeah.
I love it. Well, Curtis, before you, I don't know how close you are to wrapping it up. I want to put two of these guys on the spot.
Uh-oh.
And I've never done this before, and I should have, because we've had some examples where we could have. We got two of you guys, Scott and Paul, where you've had your sons play for our program.
That's amazing. I was just going to ask you.
Give
That's amazing, dude. I was just going to ask him.
Give us a description how that works. Of course, Drew was recent, and
Proud
Colby's
Papas.
not that long ago.
No. You know, to be honest, and this has been great. I've loved every minute of it. And, you know, Toby said earlier, you know, you reminisce and you start talking and then you remember stuff. But Jill will back me up on this. But before I came here, I was like so nervous. I was like, what? Just like,
Nothing to be nervous about.
You know, we had a great team and everything like that and loved every minute of it. But, you know, no special players or anything like that.
Yeah,
Everybody's
yeah.
just played together and said, you know, I'd rather talk about Colby's season because, you know, it's more recent and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
right,
and it's
right.
easier in your mind, but as you get going and stuff like that. But, you know, that's part of the fun for me. I got older kids and stuff like that, but, you know, at this point in time for me, it's, you know, I like watching Drew play and Colby play and everybody else, all of the kids coming up. That's more special to me than actually talking
So
about.
do you remember the first night that Colby ran out to start at quarterback, how you felt?
I do.
Were you nervous?
It was the West Sioux
Were you
game.
nervous or were you
I was nervous. Well, and you got to remember, he had mono. So
That's right,
He
yeah.
had mono his
He had lost a
senior
lot of
year,
weight,
and he had
yeah.
lost a lot of weight, and that was nerve-wracking in itself. And then you're going up against West Sioux, who was a great team. So yeah, shitting bricks.
That's right,
You know, but yeah, you know, to me as a parent and stuff like that, and you know, as these guys have kids growing up and stuff like that, to me that's more special than reminiscing about our own.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it's good. It's good for him to hear this,
and I
too.
love this because
Yeah.
it's great.
Well, I'm here to tell you out there, Colby, these boys were good. Drew's been hearing it all night, so these boys were good.
How about you, Proud Papa? How'd you feel that first time your son ran out as a starter for CLGLR?
He started off as special teams. It was just, you know, he's 10th grade. He's just going to go out there and start playing. And it's just like, and then we're getting big scores, and he's getting more time and more time, you know, and then he comes to his junior year and his senior year and watch him go through them 2 seasons, both make all the way to the championship games. You know, junior year they win it. Last year they come up short. You know, nobody wants to talk about that last 8 seconds, but I look at this group, we didn't even get a chance to that last 8 seconds.
Right.
Yeah.
You
that's
know,
good.
we played our asses off.
Yep.
And just the memories and being just how proud I am of all the players, my son included, just to be a part of it.
Right.
So yeah, I'm pretty darn proud, and especially going through with all the graduation stuff. Now I've been looking at pictures for seems like months, but finding pictures of when he started playing football when he was in 3rd grade.
Yep.
You know, and he's 75 pounds, and last year Post was on his ass because trying to get him over 200. He finally did. You know, but and he proved to be very tough, and it was just fun to watch these teams, and I'm just proud of him and proud of all of his teammates as how they did.
Yeah. As one of them guys, particularly with Drew, I got to work with him more than I would have with Colby. As one of them guys that gets to go work with dad and then son, it's pretty cool.
You know, one of the things we always told him too is him and Michael. It's like, you want to play football for Central Line George Little Rock? I said, you coming from George, you're going to have to go over there and you're going to have to prove yourself, and you're going to have to be the meanest son of a bitch there is. And you're just going to have to just tear somebody's head off and just look at them and say, now what?
Yeah.
Yep.
You going to cry or what?
That's
know.
right.
Pain or
Good
is it
advice.
injury?
Yeah, is it pain or injury?
Good advice.
What's special is our program is special, and I don't care. We're prejudiced as heck on it. Our program is special, but you guys, you live by Madison, you live by Canton. Both good programs. Both good programs. But not as special as CLGLR the way we do it.
No.
You know, I found that out just even recently. I went down to I went down to Kansas City this year for Division I wrestling. I ran into some guys from South Dakota, and those guys knew everything about our program. Literally, I was like, oh yeah, and they don't coach football, but they're the coach wrestling in South Dakota. They'd sit down as a coaching staff every Friday night and watch our games. I'm like, you watch our game? Like, you're not even like,
Right.
And they did. They watched it and they couldn't wait. They just talked about everything that happened. And I'm like, yeah, it was like, when you look at that, you're like, Paul Konishny and some of those guys that I was with, or like we're walking back to the hotel that night, and it's like you just surreal feeling of like, that's really special for what this program has done. And it's been fun.
It's so funny. I told my wife this just recently. I said, you know, she's talking about, well, if we retire, we both retire, we can move somewhere. I'm like, I don't think we could move because there's nowhere that I could immerse myself in this kind of football.
Right.
Anywhere. It just wouldn't be the same. There's just no way. And we're just so lucky that we were a part of this, and we all had a little piece of it throughout our
that's
years.
right.
Just so lucky.
That's right.
Sorry, Jill.
Good shit.
Yep. Sorry, Jill. You're stuck.
Hope you like cemetery walks.
You're stuck. That's right. We ain't moving back to Lamar's. I know that.
And we throw in a Packer trip once in a while, spice it up a little bit.
You bet. It's special.
Yeah, it really is. It's good
You
stuff.
know, and I'll be the first one to point out, you know, and Paul will say the same thing, but, you know, it's the coaches, too, that, you know, you guys, testament to you guys over the years that, you know, you truly care about the kids. And, you know, it's not just teaching them football, but it's teaching them life lessons and how to act after that fact. So,
yep. Well, we all learned that. We learned that from your head coach.
Yep.
I know that for sure.
and that's been passed down from generation to generation. So
It is.
All the coaches as a whole have figured out a way to pull the best and the most out of us throughout the years.
Right.
And, you know, I had coaches come up to me, even now watching with Drew, coaches come and I'm going to say stuff that's going to piss him off, but I'm going to get the best out of him.
Yep.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yep.
Call him his mom's name, and he finally looks at the coach and says, you.
You know, though, Paul.
Yeah, but he still got called the same name.
If you tell a coach to F off, though, you have to run a lot of ladders. And then Coach Nall, after everybody's gone, has to pull over while he's doing this on his way home and says, that's enough.
Yeah.
Hey, before we're done, what do you remember about Hell Week and that type of stuff at the beginning of the year? What do you remember about that?
You guys went morning and night, didn't you?
You guys went 2 days. 2 days. The true 2 days.
no water breaks. Very few water breaks was one of them.
You were a wuss if you got water breaks.
Gut check week, no water.
And there was no starting out with just your helmets on. It was full pads. Here we go. We're gonna make men out of you right now. Let's get it over with. So
The biggest break I remember we got was on that old 7-man sled. It was built like a bridge. It had bridge planks on it. And we had to go from the Astro Rock on the bottom.
yeah, all the way to the top.
All the way to the top. And Postman, was
Berkey.
it Berkey? You were both on there.
Sometimes we were, yeah.
Starting line, if you put us up that hill, and we pushed you guys up and over that hill, no conditioning. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we didn't practice very well that day either because our legs were shot.
Yeah, you're done for.
That was a lot of push.
That was a lot of push, especially on the right side where Berkey was standing.
I think when we hit that sled and we hit that hill, and we all went like this, everybody dropped and they went like that. They're like, you could just see them crapping their pants. They were going.
All I remember hearing is, "That all you pussies got?"
That came from Berkey.
That sounds from you.
Oh, sure.
I can't quite get the postma, but that's just,
Yeah, Berkey always said that one. Yeah, a lot of good memories.
But Hell Week I don't know. It wasn't bad.
The first day
We
was
survived.
the
First couple of days, your muscles are.
You hurt.
Yep.
You hurt
But
bad.
like your senior year, you get there, you're like, oh, this is going to be fun. Now it's going to be fun. Here we go.
Yeah.
Summer's over, and now the fun begins.
Yep. Yep.
I hated every one of them. Even as a coach, I hated them. It was too damn hot. And too just,
Always had to do.
Well, you should have let us have
Especially-
more water breaks.
especially the 2 days. Yeah.
It was
See
a
them-
mad sprint to that water fountain and turn it on, and that water would shoot about 12 feet in the air. I was like, come on.
But then after that, the second day, hey,
Fine.
water fountain's broke. It doesn't work anymore. Shut the water off. Well, obviously, because the practice field's hard as a damn rock.
Yeah.
God, they were bad.
One thing fun though was when you get a good rain and we'd all after practice you do the old belly womping.
Absolutely.
Let the old
Yeah, I
face
remember
mask
that.
cook. Those were fun.
And then leave your clothes in the locker for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Especially in that old locker room. Oh, man.
Man, that was
Holy
bad.
smokes,
I
that's
think
right.
No ventilation.
They finally put that to its misery and poured it full of cement.
That locker room was gone, right? It's all
Yeah.
gone, and
It's
it's
gone.
Yep.
the only thing left is the commons.
Wow.
Commons and the
And
gym.
the old
The gym,
and
the
the
gym.
old band room.
Band
weight room.
Weight room, okay. and
You
the
know,
gym.
that was a hell of a huge improvement from the closet weight room to the old band room.
right.
That was a heck of a
Right.
nice setup.
So the old closet room is still there, Monty.
Yeah.
And so now
There's
it's
no
part-
weights in
They,
there, right?
they took
Oh, they should have put all the
Utility.
benches, left them in
I'd
there.
really want to relive it sometime, but
yeah, they tore the wall.
I'll open the door up and you just close your eyes and walk in.
Remember, duck when you go to the right because there's a huge ventilation.
ventilation
Yes.
duct.
Yeah, it's all gone. That's all gone.
Oh, they
But,
removed it.
Yeah, they removed it with the remodel. So,
Crazy.
no, yeah, no, don't worry. I got a little bit of that. Yeah, yep. Yeah, I did. So.
You did, yeah.
But would I change it for the world? No.
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 Nope.
We had
Not
a,
a
we
bad
had a
Memories
great,
forever.
we had a great team. We all were. I mean, we all just jived.
We
Just
did.
didn't matter. One guy had something go, the next guy's going to back him up.
You know, it's
Didn't
funny
matter.
is you see people like you played with. Every once in a while, running Paul Barron's. You can jive with them and talk with them about football or whatever. Just that friendship that you created when you had that. You know,
Well,
it's good.
It had been, I can't say how many years it had been since I seen Ray.
Right.
Probably it's been every bit of 25 years.
Right.
Central Lyon Madison
We're
duel.
up at Brookings
SDSU.
Wrestling, and I'm walking out to the bus to drive the bus home, and all of a sudden I hear this voice, and I turned around, and I was like, Raymond Johnson, how you doing?
And you know what he was doing by that bus? Same thing Coach Knoll and Coach Schmidt were doing.
Attaboy.
It's full circle. Full circle.
Attaboy.
He was warming the bus up for the wrestlers to go home. He was standing out there by the door.
Attaboy.
Yeah,
But I remember that too. It was
Yeah.
that's when Iowa wrestled SDSU.
SDSU, yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
yeah. All of a sudden I heard this voice, and I was like, Raymond Johnson, how you doing? I hadn't seen you for 25 years, 20
Yep.
years.
And it's just like, hey, how you doing? Well, we'll catch up some other time. Well, another 20 years later.
Well, boys, this is your challenge. 30 years this year now. You
30
should probably
years.
get together at one of these games and bring all your guys back for one of these games this year.
We should
Yeah, we should.
talk to a few guys, and that's always the
Get,
thing.
just
to
get it
reminisce
started.
and
That's
get
what
back.
it takes, yeah.
Can we wait another 2 years? I still got one playing football.
Oh, you do? All right. All right. What grade? He's a sophomore? Going to be a junior?
He's
Yeah.
going to be a junior, yep.
Good
So-
deal. Plays for Madison. Plays for the Cowboy.
He don't
No,
coach anymore.
He's not there
he
anymore.
Retired.
Oh, okay.
He retired, old Hodgin, yep.
Yeah. Are they going to be good?
We'll see.
Where does he play? What position?
Let me guess, linebacker.
No, he was DB last year. Well, he was kind of like a hybrid, but I don't know. He's grown a little bit. He does not miss a day in the weight room. I mean, that's
Attaboy.
5 days a week. Then he goes to track after school, and he just
Attaboy.
All right.
he lives it. So
He'll be a good one. He's got it in the blood. He can't help it. He
see.
cannot help it.
Couldn't get his dad off for track, but that's good.
Well, golf was so much more fun.
Well, it's because you know back in the day though, if you wanted anything, you had to work. You had
Right.
to earn money. Well,
You sound like my other guy that never got off the track.
Oh, I would have been out of track. There's no
That's right.
doubt. I would do that.
You'd rather, yeah.
That was easy.
Sign me
Way
up.
easier than Alan.
Sign me up.
Yeah, well,
Track's
Sign
way
me
easier than
up.
Alan.
that's what the work I did too. I worked on the dairy farm afterwards, but but it was looking back at it, a guy probably should have done all that stuff, But
Yeah, if
know
you could explain that to Big Al to do that stuff, let me know how that goes.
That wasn't going to work in them days. No.
I need help on the farm.
Oh.
You get your ass home.
Oh,
and-
yeah. Oh,
Curtis.
yeah. His dad especially.
I can remember after a football practice, it was Todd's like, I need guys helping unload hay. We're going over to Alan's place. And that tractor never stopped. It's like, my God, how many racks do you got?
I don't even.
You were probably about, yeah.
I probably brought you water, to be honest.
Oh, no. I don't think we got water breaks there either.
Hydrant was broke.
Well, I'm not saying I disagree with that either, because I know how Dad operated. So it was like, I remember Lance Botts, and Lance Botts was on that episode 91, but Lance Botts came out one time. We got done, and Dad's like, "Who was that guy?" Lance Botts. I'm thinking to myself, Dad, he's so good at football. My dad goes, he can't stack hay. Don't get him back here. I'm like,
That's all Alan cared about.
yeah. He didn't give a shit about football.
I hope Lance is listening to this.
Well, I'm pretty sure
he
State
probably
Lance
is.
knows because he never came back. So.
He probably is listening to it. Al told it
That's
like
good
it was.
stuff.
No,
Good
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Very good stuff.
Absolutely.
Very good
Well,
stuff.
again, I appreciate you guys coming on tonight. I know some of you guys traveled to get here, so, but hopefully you guys have enjoyed the conversations, the articles. Big shout out to Jeff Cruz. Again, he does all of our research for getting the articles out to you guys and setting up the media stuff and getting this on YouTube. And again, it'll be on YouTube forever, and that's why we're doing this. Big thanks to Toby and Dwayne for joining us. Dan Vanderzee for the venue tonight. As always, he supporter of our program, a former CLGLR player himself. Jeremy Sproke that brings the speakers down and comes to brings the speakers down and helps set it up so you guys can listen when you're down here. So, again, thank you guys for coming out tonight. And as we move forward, try to get another podcast in yet this year. We'll have a little future maybe, but we'll talk about that later. So as we continue on, as we go throughout the night.
Good to see you, dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Great to see
we'd
you.
love to come back.
Pardon?
We'd love to come back, if you
Yeah.
have us.
Well,
Yeah.
get your butt down here on a Friday night.
There we go.
Here I am.
After a game.
Okay, all right.
Then we can
All right.
then we can tell stories like the real story.
Not on the podcast.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Well, thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
Thanks for you guys putting this on.
We'll be back again soon, but in the meantime, please rate, review, and subscribe. Tell your friends about our podcast as we are available on YouTube, iTunes, Google Podcast, and Spotify. And of course, follow us on social. We are at CLGLR Football on Twitter and Instagram. Or you can contact us by emailing clglrfb@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and go Lions!